So why is this important for Republicans? Well, Adam Frisch, who is the Democrat who nearly beat Boebert, he lost by just 546 votes in 2022. He raised over 3 times as much as the GOP incumbent in his new reelection bid. And so he's raised more money than Lauren Boebert.
Where do you want to go?
In 2022, and Lauren Boebert
why didn't you launch by yourself?
Engaged in all these scandals since that election that might actually really hurt her in getting reelected in Colorado's.
We are, but the first thing you do is question what I'm
which
doing.
is where she had previously run. Now, the decision gives Republicans a stronger chance at holding on to Colorado's 3rd district as they fight to keep their House majority next year. Boebert's departure from the 3rd district eases the path for a more moderate Republican, Grand Junction, Colorado attorney Jeff Hurd, whom the Colorado Springs Gazette endorsed over Boebert this month. But Boebert is also trying to spin her decision, saying, quote, Boebert concluded that while she did not arrive at this decision easily, a lot of prayer, a lot of tough conversations, and a lot of perspective have convinced me that this is the best way I can contribute to fight for Colorado, for the conservative movement, and for my children's future, and for the future of our great country. Now, the scandals I'm referring to really have to do with the fact that she was disrupting a musical of Beetlejuice in Denver. She was caught on tape groping for dates. She's also gone through a divorce, which I don't think really matters to anyone. I don't think that should work against a political candidate at all. But that's one of the other things that's been cited. And the closure of her restaurant, her gun-themed restaurant, Shooters, has been cited as a possible factor in hurting her in her reelection bid.
Yeah. So this one's tiny bit complicated. First, there's logic in what she's doing. She might lose in the 3rd district, but the 4th district has 20-point advantage for Republicans, and Ken Buck is leaving, so he's the incumbent Republican. So all she has to do is win the primary. The general election is guaranteed. And same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's in a super red state, so all she has to do is win the primary, and then the general is guaranteed. There isn't anything that Marjorie Taylor Greene could say to lose her election in that safe a seat. The 4th district of Colorado is the same. That's why Boebert wants to switch over to it. Now, let's talk about GOP hypocrisy a little bit. This is a tiny one because no one remembers it's such a small issue. But I when I ran for Congress in 2020, I was about 20 minutes outside the district, so right outside the district. But yes, you can run if you're outside the district. And the Republicans were beside themselves.
You're a carpetbagger.
You're a carpetbagger. I can't believe he's outside the district. How terrible. Lauren Boebert lives hundreds of miles from the 4th district. Like, from the boundary of the 4th district. It's not even close. Not within literally hundreds of miles of close. So this is just like, I mean, in the more tightly packed East Coast, could be like this completely different state, right? So it's pretty, but then the one other part is her explanation. Stuff like that drives me crazy from politics. This is the one advantage that Trump has. He says a lot of crazy stuff, but he says it in a way that gives you a sense that it's authentic. Maybe not honest, but authentic. As in, that's the real Donald Trump, right? Lauren Boebert, so she does the two things that all politicians do. Republicans, I should say. Put a lot of prayer. So it's okay. So, look, I put a lot of prayer into murdering you, and then I decided to do it. So it's okay. I put a lot of thought into it and a lot of prayer.
Does anyone really believe that Lauren Boebert has even once, knelt beside her bed and prayed to Jesus?
I do.
You do, really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because for a lot of, Christians, fake Christians, whatever you want to call them, right? To be fair, to the fake Christians, a lot of religious people are this way. And I know, when I was religious, I wished for a lot of things. And so when you wish for something, what do? You pray, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, please, God, let me lose 20 pounds and eat bacon at the same time. For a Muslim, that would have been an ironic prayer. But so has she prayed for things for herself? My guess is yes.
Okay, that's right. You're probably right about that.
And religious people, and I love you, but, when you pray, you're not actually talking to God. You're going to hear back what you want to hear back. It reminds me of Michelle Bachmann. I'm merely talking about fundamentalist religious books, right? He said that God wanted her to be an accountant, and then God changed his mind and wanted her to be a politician. Like everything she did. She said, well, no, God wanted me to eat that last piece of pie. Sorry. But I had a lot of prayers, though, before I ate the pie. And then the second thing Bobert mentioned is the children. Always the children. She had to switch districts for her children. Why? Were your kids like, Mommy, I really want you to run in a district hundreds of miles away? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, look, the statement she made about her children, I mean, obviously it's not really about doing anything for her children, but it's a way of connecting with voters and, you know, appearing as though she's just like them and she's got kids too and she has the same concerns and worries about children as they do. Like, I get why she does that. The whole thing about, like, oh, I prayed on it, it seems a little antiquated at this point. That's the reason why I asked you the question. Like, I don't know if that even really appeals to voters anymore, the same way that it did, let's say, back in the early aughts.
No, because you're in a different bubble for a lot of conservatives. In the 4th district, where it's a 20-point advantage for Republicans, and Colorado Springs has a lot of really conservative parts.
Okay.
Although it's a blue state overall these days. And the 4th district is super conservative. And so she knows that's like easy way to hook religious voters that are on the Republican side.
I know,
you just say you prayed on them. No, I relate to that. I prayed for a brand new car the other day.
I just don't think religious and conservative voters are dumb. Like, I don't think they're dumb. I mean, she got caught just a few months ago, like, grabbing a dude's crotch at a musical, Beetlejuice, and vaping indoors and being super obnoxious and disruptive to the entire audience. Like,
to be fair, she wanted that juice.
You want that juice? Go do it in the comfort of your own home. Don't be doing it out in public while people are trying to enjoy Beetlejuice. You get what I'm saying? But my point is, like, talking about how you're preying on things, I don't think is going to persuade religious conservative voters to forget about the fact that you got caught in those scandals.
I don't know. So
I guess we'll see.
Because with Trump, I mean, Trump did everything imaginable. Grab him by the crotch, he said, and they'll let you get away with it because you're a celebrity.
Trump's also a man.
Yeah, and he was on the cover of Playboy, and and the mistresses and the porn stars, etc. And all those religious folks who said family values were like, boy, right? So, like, is Bobert totally mistaken in thinking if she just says, "Oh, I prayed on it"? That they'll be like, oh, okay, as long as you're on our side. As long as you're on our side.
I know, but you're also forgetting the fact that there is a double standard when it comes to that type of stuff, depending on your sex, right? And so there's always been much stricter standards for women in conservative circles, in religious groups, as compared to men. So,
I mean, look, there's also the Republican-Democratic double standard. Name any, I hate to do this, but I'm going to, just so you can trigger in your mind what would actually happen. Name any Democratic woman, if they had done that at Beetlejuice play, right? If Elizabeth Warren had grabbed
oh my God, please don't. Okay. I don't want to imagine that.
No, but but the reason I mentioned a name, one, because you know Elizabeth Warren has a 0% chance.
It would be so shocking that I would almost be impressed.
Right. But what would the Republicans do? For the rest of her career. That is the only thing they would ever mention. She once said, based on something she heard on her family, that she was 1/16 Native American.
No, that was bad, Jim.
Okay, whatever. They found that tiny little needle in her haystack, and they're like, and they won't let it go. If she grabbed the crotch like Lauren Boebert did, okay, on tape, they would never, ever stop talking about it. Not only in her context, but in the context of all Democratic women. A Republican woman does it, bygones be bygones. They don't care. I don't think they care at all.
We'll see. I mean, look, she wasn't popular to begin with, which is why she nearly lost her re-election bid. Let's see how it works out for her in this new district. I would venture to say that the voters in that district will not take kindly to the fact that she lives literally hundreds of miles away. I hear you on what you're saying about the, political jabs meant to destroy someone's candidacy and it's inauthentic when it comes from other politicians and other political groups. But I do think that the constituents in that district are going to want representation from someone who actually lives in that district and understands what they experience on a day-to-day basis and what their needs are. So we'll see. Maybe I'm being too hopeful. I just think that someone like Lauren Boebert has not really
Guy hit me like 3
proven that she's
headshots,
well
bro.
suited to be a sitting member of Congress. And
I
she's
don't
not
think
the only one.
that at all.
She's not the only one.
I think, look, I don't think that matters for Republican voters at all. At all. Margaret Taylor Greene's worse.
Agreed.
And Republican voters love her, right? So, but there is something about Lauren Boebert where it's not exactly the same. And I could see Republicans in a
Swingman is destroying him.
with another conservative.
Right.
Because I think that the fact that, and I think it's partly what you said, Adam. Different standard for women and men. If Donald Trump had done the same exact
I
thing,
guess I'll just try and go,
we know
draft two.
it's literal, right? And in her case, they might think like, I don't know, as a woman that's unbecoming,
Right.
and she's insubstantial, etc. Even though a lot of clown-ass Republican men say similar things as her. Right?
I mean, Republican Congressman Desjardins had an affair and had his mistress have multiple abortions.
No, to be fair, the mistress only had one abortion that he paid for.
Sorry, just one abortion.
He had his wife, he paid for and had his wife do 2 abortions.
And he got reelected.
3 abortions total.
He got reelected.
Easily. Republicans don't care about anything that they say they care about. All they care about is owning the libs. So if they think that Boebert owns the libs well enough, then they'll put her back in,
Well,
and that's how it
she'll own that prize.
If you enjoy this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Join member today by hitting the join button below.
Welcome back to Pulse Tech News. Good news, everyone. We've made it to March 2024, and if you're following the advice that I give myself in my head, which I've never really stated out loud, so kudos for figuring it out, you've cleared as much calendar space as possible in the next 2 to 3 months, so you can finally get some goddamn work done. No major hardware launches are on the horizon in the immediate future, so let's all focus on getting through those backlog projects we've been forced to put off for far too long, like wall mounting stuff on my steps, jeez, placing in shambles. And I know it's hard to focus on work, but with the promise of approaching springtime and fresh air and flowers and stuff, or alternatively, the promise of a cave-like computer room and week-long recreational drug-fueled video game binges. But wherever your heart leads you as we coast towards the vernal equinox, thanks for letting your brain stop by my channel so you can keep yourself abreast of the past week's PC hardware tech news. Today's video is brought to you by the Tower 300 series cases from Thermaltake, expanding their vertical tower design with a stunning new lineup available in a variety of colors. The larger frame now supports micro ATX
Someone's by
motherboards,
us.
as well as huge GPUs, including the RTX 4090, without compromising airflow thanks to an abundance of filtered ventilation panels. 2 CT140 fans come pre-installed, and the right side can house up to 420mm AIO radiators. Finish your build off with a sold separately 3.9-inch LCD panel kit, or even go horizontal with a matching chassis stand.
We should probably go get in right now while we can, unless you want to third party this.
Click the sponsor link in the video description.
No, that's right.
It seems fitting that AMD's launch of their latest GPU this week, the Radeon RX 7900 GRE, was met with what I would describe as the opposite of enthusiasm. Not hatred, but sort of an anemic fatigue that fittingly mirrored the Golden Rabbit Edition's mediocre 7 to 10% performance uplift versus the former go-to in this price range, the RX 7800 XT. It didn't help that the GRE already launched last year in July 2022, just only in China, so performance isn't even that much of a surprise or anything. It's just not really that big of a deal. It's like you just bought a 100-foot garden hose for $100, and the checkout guy says, hey, you know, we have a new 110-foot garden hose that just came out. The price? $110. But then he wants you to get excited about it too. And while, sure, some of us wouldn't mind getting extra things.
He's broken, just kill him.
Can get a bit unwieldy. Plus, you've got to wipe it down between each use, taking good care of it. And video cards. Yeah, it's totally fair. The aforementioned RX 7800 XT was viewed positively.
Number 23, purple up top.
Even at $500. So hopefully AMD will do what they often do with the AMD news. Chip away at the GRE's price, bit at a time, until it becomes a compelling value as well. Hopefully AMD will also chip away at some of the overclocking restrictions that seem to be holding the Golden Rabbit back, as there appears to be significant variance in the quality of review samples that went out, as well as frequency limitations that seem to limit peak potential, or, as AMD calls it, a bug that they intend to fix. Steve from Hardware Unboxed posted one of the more critical 7900 GRE reviews from the secondary embargo lifted Monday, but he followed up with a retest video due to some backlash. To explain, Steve was one of the few reviewers who tested an OEM RX 7900 GRE last year when they were only available in China, and he went ahead and retested that same reference card for his video Monday. But the newer samples going around do seem to perform slightly better than the ones already on the market, and so he reran tests with the manufacturer overclocked Sapphire Nitro Plus, and found that, yes, the card running at slightly higher frequencies will get slightly better test results. It was still only a typical improvement of about 2 to 5 frames. What was more notable was AMD's communication with Steve indicating that, yes, they do see the current OC limits as a bug, so keep an eye out for them to fix the bug, probably with an updated driver. And then perhaps the 7900 GRE can push its memory past about 2300 megahertz, or its GPU past about 2800 megahertz. And then maybe that extra length of hose will look a bit more appealing. Speaking of appealing lengths of hose, do you guys use liquid coolers? They can look quite nice. They quite often are excellent at cooling, but they do have downsides due to the possibility of pump failure, and of course, those prices, which can easily get up to $200 or even $300 for LCD-enabled versions, which is why I typically recommend air coolers for all but the highest-end builds, and air cooling has been on a bit of a tear recently, mostly thanks to Thermalright, who keeps surpassing themselves with reasonably priced aftermarket offerings, first with the Peerless Assassin, then the Phantom Spirit, and now the Phantom Spirit Evo, a dual-fan cooler that massacred the competition per Tom's Hardware's Albert Thomas in their recent review. This thing costs $43, and not only did it outperform or match $100 air coolers like Corsair's recent A115 or Noctua's NHD15S, it easily kept up with 360mm all-in-one liquid coolers, and quite a few of them when measuring average watts cooled while noise normalized. Now don't get me wrong, there's still very much a case to be made for liquid cooling with the high core count CPUs at the top of AMD's and Intel's current product stacks, but for anything below that, gaming PC builders will likely be much better served by one of Thermaltake's new air coolers. Your wallet will thank you too. Speaking of things that aren't worth the money, MSI's Claw handheld gaming device made some waves when it debuted at CES, but many onlookers were concerned when they found out that it was an all-Intel device in terms of the CPU and the integrated GPU. And those concerns were borne out when early reviews started to pop up in mid-February, when compared to the Asus ROG Ally, which is AMD Zen 4 and RDNA 3 based, performance seems to lag behind, with the Claw typically delivering 10 to 20% fewer frames per second. Nevertheless, the Claw appears to be headed towards a retail debut, with 3 variants planned and MSRPs between $700 and $800. A tough sell when the ROG Ally costs $600 to $700, and the Steam Deck OLED is $550 to $650. The for sale date seems to be in flux though, with UK stores claiming maybe March 20th or maybe in April, while the official MSI Germany store already has them in stock and available to order. That's just German efficiency though. But if the price, specs, and presumed performance still have you scratching your head, consider that MSI might be bringing this to market with some strong encouragement, money, from Team Blue, since Intel would likely prefer that the burgeoning handheld market not be completely dominated by AMD. Let's quickly talk about AI, but this time let's focus on an actually useful PC hardware implementation of it, blocking ransomware attacks. Most ransomware, once deployed, typically works in the same way. Encrypt as much of the data on a PC or server as possible, then force the victim to pay a ransom for the encryption key so the data can be recovered. To fight this, IBM is equipping its new SSDs with ransomware detecting AI, powered by their 4th generation flash core module technology. Rather than worrying about the system's compromised operating system, IBM's solution monitors data at the I/O level on the drive, and IBM says it has no impact on performance. The flash core module feeds I/O data to a machine learning model that determines what typical system usage looks like, which then allows it to detect anomalies indicative of the presence of ransomware. In testing, the solution was able to detect and shut down attacks within 1 minute, preventing further encryption of data on the drive. AI is everywhere now, and it can get a bit fatiguing to hear about it all the time, but it helps to be reminded that it's not just being used to make hot dogs hotter. I'm doing Tech Brief's Platinum, Joe. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to make a super fancy intro for it, but if you don't, you can use regular Tech Brief's intro. Just like hue shift it instead of that gold or whatever color it is, like it's silver, or just don't do anything. And now we segue into a very special show finale. Welcome to Tech Brief's Platinum. Please note that Tech Brief's Platinum is a free offering and does require a paid membership. If you did not send me money, then you'll be redirected to a YouTube video of that hot dog named Potter, which I hear is a fascinating thing to watch for poor people. Thanks for stopping by. What a relief. Now that only my most affluent viewers are still watching, at last I can relax and speak my mind without worrying about all those inconvenient things I have to skate around when certain demographics are also watching. But I know time is money, your time especially. So let's begin with a simply charming video posted this week by Nada from Tech Testers. She went and tested a bunch of different RTX 4080 Supers. Pretty impressive stack there. And I know, you already have an RTX 4090. That goes without saying, but it can be so difficult to find the right gift for your butler or your dog, perhaps. And just because we're ungodly rich doesn't mean we shouldn't look for the best performing options available. And it turns out performance is really just about the same between all of these cards, with acoustics and thermals being the main differentiators, and as expected, the most expensive card performed the best, the ROG Strix OC from Asus, proving, once again, that money can buy happiness, and the best GPUs. Thank you so much, Nada, my dear. Ta-ta. The rich people talk, right? Speaking of the best GPUs, aren't you a bit and this and does require a paid membership. If you did not send me money yet, then you'll be redirected to a looping video of that hot dog getting hotter, which I hear is a fascinating thing to watch for poor people. Thanks for stopping by. Are they gone? What a relief. Now that only my most affluent viewers are still watching, at last I can relax and speak my mind without worrying about all those
Is this Tech Testers?
Around with certain demographics are also watching, but I know time is money, your time especially. So let's begin with a simply charming video posted this week by Nada from Tech Testers. She went and tested a bunch of different RTX 4080 Supers. Pretty impressive stack there. And I know, you already have an RTX 4090. That goes without saying, but it can be so difficult to find the right gift for your butler or your dog, perhaps. And just because we're ungodly rich doesn't mean we shouldn't look for the best performing options available. And it turns out performance is really just about the same between all of these cards, with acoustics and thermals being the main differentiators, and as expected, the most expensive card performed the best, the ROG Strix OC from Asus, proving, once again, that money can buy happiness, and the best GPUs. Thank you so much, Nada, my dear. Ta-ta. Right? Speaking of the best GPUs, aren't you a bit bored of the RTX 4090? I mean, sure, it's the fastest by a big gap, but it's already almost a year and a half old, and I think they should at least come out with a better video card for rich people. And apparently they will. What a surprise, the RTX 5090, even though it's just a rumor from the internet, and it might be 70% faster than the RTX 4090. That's a big boost, but it's also a known fact that the RTX 4090 does not use the full-size Ada Lovelace die, and NVIDIA was maybe saving room for an RTX 4090 Ti or heavy-class card, but if rumors are true, that's not going to happen. And even as I predicted, the biggest and the best GPUs from both NVIDIA and AMD might be getting allocated for AI GPU usage with the coming generations. And while I know that we all have the means to buy as many 8700s as we want with our pocket change and the bills we've lost from our Italian leather sofas, we can't use those GPUs for gaming. I guess I was wrong about money buying happiness. But at least we can all cheer ourselves up with today's final story about helpless 9-to-5ers being forced back to the office to work their day jobs. This time it's Rockstar who is calling their staff back with a Monday to Friday schedule, ostensibly to reel in leaks and potential data breaches as they grow nearer to launching Grand Theft Auto 6. But we know it's really because those whores can't be trusted to invest the maximum amount of their time and energy on a daily basis for the good and benefit of the company when they're lazing about at home. All for the best, I say. It's high time these developers and programmers learn the value of a hard day's work while they build a game about anarchically robbing and killing everyone and everything in your path in the frenzied pursuit of that which makes man truly noble. Money. I hope it launches soon. I really want to play. But there you have it, guys. Tech news for the week. And if you liked it, click that like button or leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all the articles I talked about today are linked in the video's description if you're interested. And you can also check out my store at paulshardware.net for high-quality merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies, beer sets, and more. Subscribing to my channel is always a good call too. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
You know it just us. We got to watch each other's back.
This is a weird one. The Lenovo Legion Go can do this, and it can also
Heads up. New kill leader.
do that. But it also has some severely broken features. So the Legion Go is a mix of cleverness, like we just saw there, and also unrefinement. And it has really strong latency in some of our testing, but it has trouble with frame time spacing. It also, occasionally, has obnoxious fan acoustic issues. We bought this Legion Go for our testing today. It was $700 when we bought it, although we did buy two for reasons we'll talk about later. Neither of those really compares to the thousands of
Don't come
dollars.
here, don't come here, don't come here. Go down, go down, go down. Slide, slide, slide.
And the handheld PC market is
They are
really
on our
heating
back,
up.
behind
Check out
us.
our stack
Just keep
OLED
moving away
release
from me.
for 60% on those. But now we'll focus on something new. The Lenovo Legion Go. Before
Keep
that, the
moving.
video is brought to you by Arctic and the Liquid Freezer 3, which we've tested using our standard methodology and found to be one of the most noise-efficient CPU coolers on our charts. The Liquid Freezer 3 includes Ryzen offset mounting to improve AMD performance and uses a thicker radiator to further lower the temperature.
I'm gonna hit the gravity cannon.
Competitively for AIO,
The gravity
you can
cannon.
learn more at the link in the description below. There's a ton of room for creativity in these devices, and they're still figuring out some of the basics. So things like the ergonomics of the handheld itself, they haven't been perfected yet. That means there's a ton of room for advancement with each different device that comes out. Well,
I say we
the
move
teardown
there.
for this as well, going up pretty soon.
Did that guy disconnect? He disconnected. Fuck that. We're not going there now.
Today, the focus will be
What an
on
asshole.
objective
It's your boy
impressions,
Nagasukam says,
features,
yup,
we'll also talk
LOL.
about software and firmware bugs, acoustics, game performance, latency performance.
I was gonna go get him too.
Battery life, thermal, charge time, all that stuff. There's a lot to cover. Let's first start with the spec sheet. The Go spec sheet
Punching a
also
tunnel.
lists the much less powerful non-Extreme V1 as an option. So get ready for some Ally-style naming confusion when that releases. But for the one we have, the Go's memory is 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X, with a capacity of 8 which is an Ally handheld, with clock higher at 7,500 megabits transfers per second. 16 gigabytes is starting to feel cramped for gaming on Windows these days, especially when a chunk of that is set aside for VRAM. The battery capacity is also more comparable to the Deck OLED. Here's a recap of just a fraction of the handheld PC market right now. The Steam Deck OLED we just reviewed costs $550 to $650 on the channel if you want to see it. The Deck LCD is $350 with an eMMC SSD to $550. The Asus ROG Ally is $400. The ROG Ally, meanwhile, is $600. Lenovo's Legion Go, meanwhile, is $650 to $700, depending on how much storage capacity you buy. Neo seemingly has an infinitely filling bag of holding overwhelmingly erupting with handhelds because we can't keep up with the amount they release. They seem to really excel, though, with custom colorways, and we actually just ordered an Air 1
I don't know what
so
just
it's
happened there.
on the smaller side compared to these. The most recent launch is the Twin, which is priced between $1,130 to $1,809. They're also soon releasing the Flip DS for $700 and up. There are a lot more on the market, like the $300 and up AYN Odin 2 with a Qualcomm Android solution, and also making a name for itself with colorways, but maybe that's for another time. And then, of course, there's the Nintendo Switch, which we won't be focusing on much because it's got a completely different gaming and software ecosystem, but it is worth considering if you're looking to buy a handheld. Right off the bat, though, the Legion Go looks ginormous compared to just about everything else, but in actuality, it's not that much larger than the Deck. The difference does matter, though. It is, however, a good perspective for
It's your boy Nagasukam says, landed in building and just went to town on
my.
my.
The Go is bigger than the Deck, but only top to bottom and only by 1.4 centimeters. That 1.4 centimeters matters, though, especially since the Steam Deck is already notoriously large. But it's not the whole reason that the Go looks gigantic. That impression is created by a combination of the Go's narrow bezels for the Steam Deck 7 inches and the Go's chunky detachable controller grip. Lenovo claims a total weight of 854 grams, or pointlessly 640 grams without the controller. We measured 863 grams in our testing against calibrated weights, close enough, but that does make it the heaviest handheld that we've tested by far. The previous record holder was the Steam Deck LCD, which we measured at 676 grams. The detachable grips are definitely the most unique aspect of this so far, though. So for the Nintendo Switch, use cases of the detachable Joy-Con include being able to hand one to a friend, so it's a fully discrete, usable controller for games that support multiplayer on the same device or other devices. And additionally, you can connect them into an interlocking component to turn it into one semi-decent controller. Beyond that, there's the option of docking the Switch, of course, and turning it into functionally within the console and using them remotely for that, one or two players. And you can hook them into accessories like the Wii Fit or the Labo. The only one of those the Go can do out of the box is the first one, using it as a standalone display with detached controller. And maybe the peripheral dock, if you count FPS, we'll cover that separately next. The two Lenovo grips can't reasonably be used as two fully discrete controllers like they can on the Switch. We tried a lot, and we just couldn't get them to consistently be usable as two inputs. In instances where you could get them to work as two inputs, which is technically a possibility by switching to dual D input mode and using Bluetooth, you'll still only have
Better
two
to have
separate,
friends at your
very
side than at your funeral.
That's where we'll
the
end
games would have to be very simple or likely older to be playable at all with the button available. Fine, as long as you're aware of that. Remember though that you can always just bring a separate controller and connect that through native Windows functionality for two complete controls and inputs. Or you could remap the two halves of the Go-Cons for emulator games or simpler titles. But don't expect this to work like a Switch, because it doesn't. And it will not only be frustrating, but also have limited compatibility. To be clear, Lenovo's not marketing on it in that way, so that's fine, but we want to make sure everybody who's buying this understands the limitations. It can be easy to get the wrong idea if you don't do a lot of research. Additionally, it does not ship with any connecting grip to link them into a single separate controller. If you were to want that, it'd have to be purchased separately. There is real value in the detachable controller, but we think it's important to effectively identify before buying it, because you should not think of it as an equivalent to this. The FPS argument is a really unique and clever implementation. It entails flipping a switch on the top of the right controller, sliding it off as you go, popping it into the Teflon back magnetic ring, and pulling the thumbsticks off so that it doesn't stick and trip off. Despite other limitations, we're relatively fond of how it came together. There's an option of the bottom control, turning it into a vertical mouse that looks like a joystick, but as Lenovo repeatedly and dramatically warns every single time FPS mode is turned on, it is not a joystick. We found the control scheme of using the right controller as a mouse and left as a joystick controller works surprisingly well in games like Cyberpunk 2077. It was skeptical at first, but it worked out. In our opinion, though, the so-called mouse is unpleasant to use in a non-gaming scenario, like just on desktop. It would work better if the controller snaps firmly into the base. As it is, it's free to wobble around. The base itself is narrow enough that the whole mouse can tip back and forth. Alternatively, we've discovered another use case. You can leave the controller attached to the Go and slide the entire turnaround attached to the mouse. Lenovo characterizes the Go as a base module and two struts, which could imply some other controller options. From a port perspective, this has USB 4 type ports. The most important aspect is the fact that there are two of them. The Ally only has one port. If you want to charge it and plug something in at the same time, you need a dongle for that. There's limitations with that.
FR33_Tick3T says, y'all suck.
For other variable refresh rate methods. The image is extremely crisp, but we've already noted that even the Ally's 1080p screen is at the point of diminishing returns for fidelity in such a small panel held at arm's length. One big thing with this is the insane amount of inputs though. So in addition to the normal buttons where we have a D-pad, we've got two analog sticks, there's two kind of option buttons up here, you have the face buttons of course, we've got two more option-esque buttons down here. There's also on the back, and this is like completely ridiculous. The fact that, as we say, this turns into a mouse as an optical sensor. It additionally has a scroll wheel, so they're trying to accommodate every function on a mouse, which adds a lot of buttons. You've got the trigger and the bumper up here. There's another button in here as a grip button, and then, of course, we've got the rest that I just described, plus a touchpad. On the other one, Oh, actually, there's also two buttons right there that I had not mentioned. On the other one, though, we have even more. There's two more grip buttons here. There's, again, the bumper and the trigger. So maybe an upside, completely insane amount of buttons. We did have accidental button presses, but fortunately they're mapped in a way where it didn't tend to cause any problems. Time to get into testing some really complicated test matrix this time. So the Go's native display resolution is 2560 by 1600. That complicates things. That is 4 times the pixel count of the Steam Deck. And as a result of that, because there are only 3 supported modes out of the box, the 1280 by 800, 1920 by 1200, and then the 2560 by 1600 solution, we have to make some compromises. Previously, we've used 1280 by 720 for our testing as the highest common resolution to ensure a fair and like-for-like comparison between devices. Scientific method. For these tests, we've used 1280 by 800 whenever possible. And then in some additional testing, we have 2560 by 1600 exclusively on the go. And that is looked at less from a comparative standpoint, because you can't do it, and more of a, can you use it at all, or what is what you expect. The performance profiles are critical to test and need some explanation. That's because on the go, they need some improvement. Using the basic Lenovo user interface, there are 3 main performance options. There's thermal mode, or TDP, OS power mode, and fan. The fan chirp setting is bound to the TDP setting, and to easily change these, the Legion Go bundles the settings into 2 customizable presets named performance and power saving. When we first got our Go, it was set to power save, but the out-of-the-box values were different from the ones that we got by hitting Restore Defaults. In other words, our Legion Go had outdated presets. We dumped an unreasonable amount of time and effort into straightening this out, like literally a week of testing, and this eventually led to us just buying a second brand new off-the-shelf Legion Go. Now we've doubled our investment in just the hardware. The out-of-the-box preset had a different name for this one because it was a different batch. This one was called Custom 1. But the settings were the same as they had been on the original. The power saving and the performance profiles were set up correctly, but the Legion Go doesn't auto-swap between profiles when a charger is connected, like the Ally. So the out-of-the-box settings are very relevant. Here's a summary of our internal naming. You can come back to timestamps and parts get confusing. 1A is completely unmodified out of the box. TDP is balanced for this. OS power mode is performance. 1B is the up-to-date power saving profile. TDP is quiet. OS mode power is efficiency for this one. 2A isn't important. This was the old performance profile on our original unit with settings completely maxed out, which leads to actually terrible performance on battery power. This won't show up on new units as far as you can tell, but it's on the charts if you're curious. And as a note, the second unit that we bought just this week, the last week of February, it had November updates on it. It's been on the shelf for a little while. It's possible it's been old enough. 2B is the up-to-date performance profile. TDP and OS power mode are both performance. 2C is the Legion Go completely maxed out 30-watt TDP with a wall charger connected, which allows the APU to operate at full power. All other tests were done on battery power, unless stated otherwise. Note that the Ally's performance profile is not the same as the Go's performance profile. The Ally has silent performance, turbo 25 watts on battery, and turbo 30 watts on wall power. The Go has power saving and performance. Time to get into testing. We'll start with latency. This testing evaluates the total end system latency, which is the entire pipeline that we're showing you on the screen now. You notice a lot of people are still mixing up the input latency, sometimes called input lag, and end-to-end system latency on the Steam Deck and the Ally subreddit in particular. To be very clear, we are testing the totality of the entire pipeline you're looking at, from input to output. That means the PC latency and the render queue and pipeline are included, some of which is frame time dependent. Because this is a holistic look at a complete device, and not an isolated component, this is the best way to evaluate latency. It factors in the screen and the input with the rendering pipeline. Testing is done with a minimum of 100 test passes per instance, and if you want to learn more about all of this, you can watch our deep dive interview and discussion with an expert, linked in the description below. This is our first set of latency tests using Dynamite 2 as representative of a 3D game that's limited by the Z1 Extreme chip. The results broadly correlate with average frame rate. The Go's power saving profile, with restored default, is at the bottom of the stack at an abysmal 186 milliseconds. The original performance profile and restored default performance profile are above it, effectively tied with each other at 148 and 152 milliseconds, and the restored default performance 2D is the exception, as it performs significantly better in terms of average frame rate, but not system latency. Past that, the stack returns to frame rate hierarchical ranking, the original power saving profile is there, and then the OLED, then the Z1 Extreme. The Go, with its maxed out of the box performance profile and raw power, tops the chart at 106 milliseconds. The power saving 1B result is bad enough that you'd notice the latency in the game. For our next latency test, we use the sample application from NVIDIA that just flashes white when a button is pressed. The render rate was intentionally capped at 120 Hz, and if you take a look at a breakdown of system latency from the prior pipeline image, by controlling both the software and the render rate, we can control most of the central chunk from game latency through render latency, allowing us to compare peripheral latency and display latency in near isolation. Although the render rate was capped, desync was not enabled, wasn't necessary. We used this synthetic test so we can compare running the Ghost controllers wired versus wireless. It doesn't represent gaming performance, it's attempting to isolate for that wireless variable. Here's the chart. Baseline at 27 milliseconds with the wired controller. Using the right side controller as our chosen input device, which means disconnecting it and running it wirelessly, ended up adding 9.3 milliseconds to the average latency. That landed it at 36.4 milliseconds. That's slightly more than the duration of one frame high at 120 FPS, which would be 8.3 milliseconds. We also ran this against the ROG Ally, which is why we limited the render rate to the Ally's maximum 120 Hz refresh rate rather than the Go's 144 Hz. Again, we're controlling the render rate to intentionally make it irrelevant. We ran the Go's latency tests in the restored default performance mode on battery power, so the rough Ally equivalent is turbo, so-called 25 so-called watts mode on battery power. With these settings, the Ally added 24.4 milliseconds of latency versus the Go with wired controllers. Given the equal render rates and the same CPU and GPU, responsibility for that 24.4 milliseconds can mostly be divided between the quality of latency from the input device and the display. In other words, the Go has superior latency when isolating against render rate. And time to get into the gaming benchmarks for frame rate. Resident Evil 4 is up at prioritized performance. The result with the Go's default out-of-the-box 1A power-saving profile was 44 FPS average, with it just below the Deck OLED's 46 FPS average and the Z1 Extreme's 47 FPS battery-powered average. That allows the Deck OLED a lead of 3.6%, and since we were forced to use a slightly lower resolution on the Ally, these three devices can be considered tied to perform straight out of the box of battery power. The real default power-saving profile, labeled 1B here, significantly lower performance, bringing its average down to a completely unplayable 17 FPS. If you manually switch to the power saving profile on a Legion Go, these are the settings you'll get. On the other end of the spectrum, plugging the Go into wall power with maxed out 30 watt profile, labeled 2C, led to one of the highest averages on the chart, effectively tied with the Ally Z1 Extreme on wall power at 61 FPS. That's a 36% uplift over the completely stock profile of 1A's 44 FPS average. Using the normal performance profile on battery power led to a stable 58 FPS average, nearly as good as the max setting. At 2560 by 1600, the Go's behavior remained the same. The default power saving profile had terrible performance, as did the bugged out original performance profile. At this resolution and with these settings, only the performance profiles, both restored default and the original with wall power,
Reckon we ought to land over there, dear.
But well below the screen's 144 Hz refresh rate. We're not going to waste a bunch of time looking at unplayable settings. Suffice to say, you need to employ heavy FSR to make this work. The higher pixel density and the resolution are more useful in non-gaming scenarios, maybe like video playback, or if you're going to do some kind of lightweight word processing. Next up is F123, a game we can rely on to achieve decent FPS numbers on almost any platform. The original power saving average on the Go is 77 FPS. With the Deck OLED only 6% ahead at 82 FPS average, but was vastly better, 1% and 0.1% low. Frame pacing is problematic on several of these devices with the mixture of Windows and the AMD driver for this game. The battery-powered Ally Z1 Extreme is 9% ahead of the Go 1A, but taking into account the Go's 11% higher render resolution and therefore total pixel count as rendered, they're about the same. The Deck leads the 1A by 6% ISO resolution and average FPS, and more superior as a result. Restoring the Go to default power settings, thanks for coming again. Only that profile with 2D games. Legion Go's maxed out result for wall power mirrors the Z1 Extreme's equivalent wall-powered result at 124 FPS average, but even that was accompanied by unpleasant stuttering. Although, to be fair, that's true of every non-deck result on this chart, something AMD and Microsoft need to work out separate. After this point, we whittled down our 2560 by 1600 testing. We selected settings with the goal of getting playable frame rates at 1280 by 800 initially for benchmarking comparisons, so running 2560 by 1600 tests at the same settings is generally beyond lows. Now we're getting into acoustics. This testing was done in our newly built anechoic chamber, which we debuted last year. This was a multi-week construction project that cost us $250,000, and it was only possible thanks to your support on the GN store. Visit store.gamersnexus.net and consider grabbing one of our brand new, ultra comfortable, warm, teardown style hoodies that we just launched. They're in stock and shipping now and use a high quality tri-blend of materials, water-based inks, and a soft interior. This video alone cost us thousands of dollars in testing time, not even counting the video production time, and we need your help to keep making them. So head over to the store or throw us a few bucks on patreon.com/gamersnexus. Here's the testing. We'll start with noise level. The quietest device in this chart remains the Nintendo Switch, which operates only slightly above our noise floor, and not enough to be detectably different, so it's effectively silent. The Legion Go's first appearance is with 1B, which is the restored defaults using quiet mode for TV control. That makes sense. The Ally in handheld and silent mode is about the same noise level under load as the Go, objectively here, and 2B appears next using performance TDP mode. That has the noise levels at 19.5 dBA, or about the same, as less of an issue than we feared. As we get deeper into this generation of handhelds, it's clear that something has changed. They are starting to experiment and do different things, and because the manufacturers haven't even perfected, once again, the basics of the ergonomics, that's exciting. That means there's a ton of room for innovation, and it's not just a bunch of copycats, although there are still plenty of them. The different companies are trying to innovate in different ways, and we like that. So, the core hardware itself is starting to get samey in some ways. The Legion Go and the Ally use the same chip, and a lot of these other handhelds use basically a Z1 Extreme 7840U, and soon the 8840U is coming out too. The older custom APU powering the Valve's Steam Deck and the Intel Ultra 7 155H coming out in the MSI Claw are the exceptions here. We'll look at that soon too. But Z1-based handhelds are common, and it's the specific features between them that matter, 7840U as well. So the experience and those specialized features are what sets them apart. Most of the devices we've reviewed so far are relatively large, but compared against each other, they're a similar form factor. That's why we bought some smaller ones for you soon, but separate. For gaming, the Go and the Ally share the same weakness, which is that frame time pacing remains weaker for the driver in combination with Windows in some games. This is familiar to the 2009 era of AMD GPUs, where pure average FPS throughput was priority over pacing. You'd imagine that will get fixed as more people talk about it, and it's not in every game, so that's the most important fix sometimes. The gaming results stack up this way. In first place, it's the Ally Z1 Extreme with its 30-watt turbo profile that's only accessible on wall power, which sparks its exclusive for handheld. In second place, it's Go, which is having the box 30-watt performance profile, not only functions correctly on wall power, following that, the Go's performance profile, which restores defaults on battery power. Meanwhile, the Ally's battery power performance profile goes out of box power saving profile, and the Deck ladder on a box for equal footing in most cases, albeit with more stable frame times on the deck. These represent the unaltered out-of-the-box performance for each of these devices. Focusing on the Ally and Go first. So the Z1 Extreme is used in both the Legion Go and the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. As a result of that, the primary differentiating factor between these two comes down to actually Asus and Lenovo, not just AMD this time. It comes down to the execution of the power profile and the execution of the firmware that drives everything. And as a result of that, right now, we can say that Asus, in that regard, has done a better job than Lenovo. Lenovo has a lot more ground to make up here. They need to push more updates. The Ally, for example, can automatically switch between profiles based on if the charger is detected. Lenovo absolutely needs to do work on profiles and firmware. Fortunately, these are things that can ship to existing owners if they patch them. They also need to do some work on the fan tuning and the hysteresis, as we discussed in the acoustic section. However, for the latest Legion Go, it's actually a leader here. It's doing well. But profile use, but especially when isolating against PC latency,
Someone should grab that evac tower.
The Legion is a leader in latency. The screen size of the GUI panel is more beneficial than its resolution. The Ally touchscreen feels tiny and hard to navigate in comparison to the Go, while the GUI's larger screen and kickstand make it practical. Just stick it on a desk and use it at a distance, which may be a plus side for you. Especially this is true with the detachable controllers. For the Legion Go, most of the specific features, like the relatively large screen, the sturdy kickstand, the detachable controllers, are geared towards sticking it on a desk and as a display, and using the controllers wirelessly. If you only care about handheld use, then the Ally Z1 Extreme is normally a cheaper option than the smaller one, although that cheaper part is in flux right now. So, as we're writing all of this, then plus or minus $50 a minute. So that part will change. You'll have to check for yourself when you watch this. But the Armory crate, as much as we dislike it in general, it seems to work fine on the Ally as a handheld device. And if you really want basically SteamOS features, you can turn on Team Picture mode, and Windows becomes kind of invisible to you, but it's still there. It doesn't fix everything. Against the Go, though, the Asus software is more refined than Lenovo's, and would primarily recommend the Go over the Ally if you already know that you want to detach the controller. That'd be even more compelling if each detachable controller could natively and instantly act as its own full controller for multiplayer on one device, like on the Switch, but it doesn't right now, and we wouldn't recommend counting our FPS mode to be a game changer, but we did like how it was executed and thought it was clever. Each device has its place currently. You can find that place in most of our charts. The Steam Deck is one we haven't discussed much yet. So SteamOS is the biggest advantage that it has, where it has mastered the frame time pacing in places where Windows has kind of dropped the ball in conjunction with the driver set from AMD. The interface is also good for SteamOS. Again, Steam Big Picture mode is available to kind of soak some of that difference, but it can't fix the frame time pacing. And that's going to be a problem. So we do think each of these has different strengths.
All looted up.
Spent a huge amount of time to find them. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe for more. Check back for the teardown of the Legion Go and additional thoughts on it. And otherwise, go to store.gamersnexus.net. We spent thousands of dollars testing this one device for this review, not counting the cost of the device itself. So grab one of our hoodies. We just launched these. You can also get a soldering mat, a mod mat, build, or one of our other things, like our toaster packs and our t-shirts. It directly helps fund the work we do here. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Alright, I'm gonna hopefully do this in one take. Look, it's not the mistakes that you make that define you, it's the way you respond to them. I just wanted to admit that on February 29th, 2024, I referred to the largest city in Scotland as Glasgow, Scotland. As most of you know, that's not the way you pronounce that. The W is silent. It's a mistake that a lot of people make, but I'm not going to hide behind that. I've been learning to pronounce it correctly. And look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. To the people of Scotland who I offended, I'm sorry, but especially to the people of, and let me make sure I get this right.
Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Yes.
Why do people scream at the gym? Like, they're like, I feel pumped today. My goal is to put something on it and not just lower the bar. Unreal. Am I still too noob to use like the punching bag?
We're gonna hit the punching bag.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna be punching air anymore.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's embarrassing. I've never thrown it that hard before, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to try to fucking kill it, but just snap it. Instead of, because usually, you know, we're just doing this, like nice and slow. Now I just want you to throw it a little bit faster.
Round two. Beginning ring
There we go. Yes, good. Good, yes. Cross. Yes, good. Yes, cross. There, don't let that fall. Beautiful. Cross.
I'm crafting.
Nice, good.
coming down.
Cross. Beautiful. Yes, good. Cross. I want 3 more good ones. Cross. Whoop. Elbows in now.
Extended light mag here. Level
There we
3.
go, yes. Alright, 2 more. Beautiful. Cross. Nice. Elbows in. Cross. Nope. One more. We're gonna still do one more. Elbows in.
Keep eyes on the new kill leader.
Cross. There we go, better. Alright, we're gonna do another.
A little bit.
I think we should move that way.
My ears are bad. I didn't hear what they
We're
said.
gonna do a hug to leave.
Oh, wait, but I'm
Evac tower deploying. A grapple to nowhere. And everywhere. 1 minute. The ring is far.
It's okay. I'm so sorry. Hi, Emmy. Hello. I'm leaving.
Let's go over there.
She said she's so pretty.
Lock jam in your hand there.
Ready?
Yeah, forward higher.
So, like, put someone's face.
Think about, like, yeah, I want to think eye level.
Face level.
Yeah,
Okay.
unless you're attacking the butt.
I was like,
Yo, let's go.
30 seconds remain. The ring is nearby.
Come and get your birthday present.
I got a birthday present to drop.
Look at the map.
Yeah, snap it. Yeah, snap it. Nice.
Heat shield here. Helmet here. Level
Oh, never mind, let's go. Run.
Oh, guy, right. On me. Guy on me.
Pretty cool. Maybe
Here I go.
I'm not with you two. You're two and two fighting it.
Opening fire on the enemy. Reloading. Giving my shields a recharge.
You hear that? There's a care package coming down.
You don't understand. I got a high leg. I can kick your face.
I can kick your face.
Wait, that was pretty cool.
The enemies are shooting. I am
I
down.
probably fall over after.
Yeah. Good. Yes.
Making contact with enemy.
Cross. Cross. Fully rotate.
Look
There
out,
we go.
grenade.
Yes. I'm trying to shove it though. Snap it. Cross. Beautiful. Fully extend. Jab. Beautiful. 1, 2. Yes. That was your best 1, 2 right there. Beautiful. Jab. 1, 2. Beautiful. I need 3 good ones. Then we're done. 1, 2. There we go. Yes. 2 more good ones. 1, 2.
Get over there, man.
Elbows in. No. 1, 2. There we
Raptor
go.
back.
Yes. I need 1 more good one.
Oh, you're dead.
1, 2. That was kind of good, but we're gonna do 1 more. 1, 2. Elbows in. Beautiful. Good job. Now we're working on the next one. I'm gonna throw this cross. We're gonna just kind of cheat it to work on our I'm gonna use my right hand in. I'm gonna rotate my hand.
Osama bin Blazin says, dumb.
So as I throw this hook, I want this high level. And I want to think about using it like the different ways I can throw my hook, but I want to think about like I'm holding a beer.
Holding a beer.
Yep, and I want this elbow a little higher. Not too much higher, but here. So as we do it, we're going to cheat it again. Go back. So go back to that cross. Cross, keep it out. Extend. Alright, so now as I throw this cross, or I pull this cross back, I'm going to rotate and also pivot my front foot. And then I'm going to pull this here. So again, now I'm going to watch you do it. Actually, now I want you to take the cross out. Now I just want you to go. So now we're taking that cross out, I have my hands up. Now I'm going to lift and turn my shoulders here. See this? Now I'm here, make sure my weight's good, bend my knee. Yep, so now as I'm here, I'm going to rotate and pivot my front foot, and then pull that out. Yeah, don't drop that one. Yep, this one's going to always stay high. So again, yep, and still, I got to keep this steady. See, this, if I just do this, I'm just turning my body. I also have to keep this down. See here? Like this. This is the first row they ask me to do again. Get in this hand. We're going to do it slow. Here. Now once you go over to your left foot. Let's keep this good down. Now as I come here, I'm going to down take my front foot and go. There we go. Do it again.
This might be a good place to land.
Down. Then I don't want it too wide though. Do it again.
This might be a good place to land.
Yeah, now we just gotta make it a little less wide. That's already getting better. Yep, keep that elbow in now.
Prepare for battle.
Now. Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
Here.
Yep, that's the limit. Yeah, here. Yep. Stop that. Fully rotation. Yes, here. Alright, as you pull this in, now throw this. Pull it, and then pivot. Yes. That was better, so you just need a little more turning that elbow in like that. Yep, do it again. Throw that too.
stop it. Yep, stop right there. Alright, now, okay? Alright, now as you pull this in, rotate that, eyebrow level, and see what you can. That's it. You're just gonna pull it and keep it straight. Yeah, there we go. Stop. There we go. Now do it.
Countdown.
The little chicken wing. Do it again. Slow, slow, slow. Stop it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes. Then, yes, good.
Rings
Now
there
you bring
by
that
1
back.
minute
Rotate.
to
Give it. Yes, better. The chicken wing. Yeah, you just got it. Whatever got the chicken wing. You did. Let's do it. Yep, that's fine. That's all it is. And cross. Stop it. Yeah, beautiful. Then, yeah, that's it. Right there. Now if you bring that in, rotate it.
New kill
There,
leader.
Margaret.
Eyes
Oh,
up
there
front.
we go. Yep, do it again. That's fine. We're good. Good cross. Yes. I keep that open in a little
Hang
more.
on,
Then
I'm
it's yours.
crafting.
Yes, there we go. All right. Now,
Not far from the
keep
ring,
that
half a
up.
minute.
Go. Better. Do it again. That's okay. And go.
Got some extra
Stop.
supplies
Yeah.
here.
Then.
You're
There
welcome.
we go. Go. Yes. Better. That was the first fight. Pretty good one. Do it again.
Let's go this way.
You're not
Rings
leaving
around
it
the
at
corner,
5
10
minutes.
left.
Here. Level 2.
Go. Yes, beautiful. Then more. Go. Better. Yes, better. Pivot that out. Pivot that front foot a little bit more. Do it again. One more.
Listen up, the ring's moving.
Yes. There we go. Go. Yes. Beautiful. Three more. You need 3. Are you not leaving? Go. Go. Better. There we go. Yes. You just a little higher, but that was really good. All right, you got 2 more. Cross. Beautiful. Yes, look at that. That was a good stand. Left hand a little higher. All right, go. And now.
Car
Two
SMG
more.
here.
Nemesis here.
Go. Yeah,
Attention.
lower the base.
Delivering
Go.
care package.
Better. Yes. One more. One more. Got it good. All right, good cross. Go. Keep it. Ooh. Go with it. Go back. Go. Go. And no kidding. Go. Yes, bend my knees a little more. Go. Better, yes, yes, yes. Good. Good job. That's 5. Now we gotta do, next week will be 10. You gotta do 10 now.
10? Okay, I can do that next week.
10 for the good.
What up, big one?
A lift to our enemy. Let us follow it.
What up, big one? Deserve, honestly. It's weights time. The most fun time. Yes.
I can tell she has a smile on her face. You know?
Did I see that the press last
You
week?
do a little bit.
No.
3 more. 1, 2. Fuck yeah, dude. 3.
I am taking fire.
I'm also stronger.
Here's your birthday present.
Pop in the chimney. Give my shields a recharge. Taking a moment to recharge my
Salmon.
Cracked an enemy shield.
It was big.
Our aim is clear. Fires at me. Broken enemy shield. Lost my key. Spotted. Recharging my shields. Give my shields a recharge.
I'm thinking back on
Taking fire.
Broken enemy shield.
well, last time I benched, I could only do the bar. And
Come on, sailor.
I'm taking fire. Reloaded. Here we go. But alive. Contact with target. A broken enemy shield. Cracked an enemy shield. Reload. You'll be alright. I gotcha.
1. You kind of bring your body into it. Perfect. 2. Good. 3. Not all the way. Slow back. 1 more.
Level 2.
Oh, I'm gonna have you drop that. We're gonna finish off the floor.
Taking a moment to
Three should not make it easier. 3, perfect.
Hostile spotted.
All the way. 2 more. Yep, 2 more. You got it, you got it.
Evac tower here.
1. Got it, you got it, you got it. All the way, all the way, all the way. Slow, slow, slow. Perfect.
Why do people scream at the gun?
Marking our surroundings. Cracked an enemy shield.
Get back and forth.
Another notch on the belt. Reload the whole squad. No quarter given. I'm the kill leader. Ready for bear.
Got it, 7. I want you to do 5, 1 more.
Just giving my shields a recharge.
Give my shields a recharge.
Beautiful. Chat, that was 40 pounds. That was 40 pounds.
Heads up. Rings closing in 1.
Over last week, they were talking about 8 pounds. 40.
Oh, true. Last week I shoulder pressed 8 pounds.
I should pick up an upgrade. Got an upgrade. Gonna put it to use.
45 seconds. Ring 8.
Just giving my shields a
Gonna do
recharge.
our pull down. Drive with the elbows down. 4.
Ring 5. That was 1.
Moving off at 40. Stop grinding down with the elbow. 1. 2. Okay. 3.
We can't have that song going on in the background. Time. I don't want you anymore. We can't have that going on. I gave you just what I needed. We can't have that song playing in the background. Come on, now we can't do that. I mean,
Optics here. Close range. Oscar Mike. I'm spotted. I'm taking fire. Tango spotted. Danger close. Oscar Mike. I'm spotted. Scanning the area. Throwing a frag. Taking a moment to recharge my shields.
You wanna go for 15?
Got a live one out there. Trust in the All Father. In combat. Unleashed to our enemy. Shots fired at me. Let us follow. Come on in. Old Painless is waiting. Popping smoke. Repeat on left. Spotted. Double timing it. Recharge. Cracked an enemy sheet. Taking fire. Spotted. Double timing it. I cracked an unscotty sheet. Reloading. Down another target. Half the squad's I broke an enemy shield. Spotted. Double timing it. Give my shields a recharge. Using a Phoenix kit.
Perfect.
Safety's off, folks. Enemies here. They got me. I'm down. I will assist you. Damage upon me. Hop in the chimney.
Alright, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift up.
They got me.
Listen up,
It's not perfect. It is heavy. Coming up you with the up. That's all you. Up. 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it? Yeah, that is pretty hard. If my fighter is like in your ear, it's not coming back up.
Fate will be on our side, Fly Fighter.
This place is something else. Let's go.
3, 4. Go all the way down. 5.
All it takes is a single spark.
6. Control. Beautiful.
Introducing your champion.
I'm the jump master. AJ Shea, leading the way.
Two more.
Let's land here. Let's land here.
Get ready. Let's go that way.
Heard that.
That's the first of many nights to go out. 1 minute until the ring closes. Could take us a while to get there. New kill leader, as our form.
All Father, give me sight. The ring is close.
2, 3. We're gonna keep it straight. We're gonna keep it straight.
30 seconds, rings close.
Keeping our back straight.
Open supply bin over here. Car SMG here.
Finish it off.
10 seconds. The ring is close.
Nice one. Doesn't matter. 2, 3. Beautiful. 4. 5.
The ring is moving, Fly Fighters. No one is inside.
Flatline here.
7. 1 more. You didn't love me today. 9. Last one. 10.
I grounded the flyer.
Delivering care package.
Care package on high.
What's there? 4 more. 7. 8. 2 more. You got it.
Map show will spread out a bit much. Someone's been here.
9, 10, 11, 12. Nice. Breath. 10, 11, and done. Quick breath. 1 more time.
Calling in a lifeline package.
My ultimate is ready. The hunt begins.
I leveled up and done an upgrade too. Upgraded and good to go. Over here. Got a mobile respawn beacon.
Okay, I'm gonna go do MMA now. Okay. Yes, yeah.
I'm about to plug in this fan to test whether blowing on this sail will move the boat forward. And then I'm flying 4,000 miles to the equator, where I'm actually standing in both the northern and southern hemispheres, because this line here is the equator. And I'm here to investigate whether or not this demo for tourists is actually a scam. Basically, they pour water in this basin, and on the north side of the equator, it seems to swirl and drain counterclockwise, which is a few feet away in the southern hemisphere. The water seems to drain in the exact opposite direction. Sort of like how you also might have heard toilets flush in opposite directions on different sides of the equator, and we're here to uncover the truth. But I'm not stopping there, because today we're going to investigate 6 other physics and engineering puzzles using simple demonstrations as we go, because our goal by the end of this video is for you not just to know the right answers, but more importantly for you to understand. To kick things off, speaking of hemispheres, did you know the moon in the sky looks like this in the northern hemisphere, like in Canada, but it looks like this in the southern hemisphere, like in Australia? It's upside down! And while that is a fun fact, it's even more fun to understand why, and this is why. As we all know, the Earth is a sphere. So if you were Superman standing at the North Pole in the northern hemisphere, you'd look like this. But if you were Thor standing in the southern hemisphere in Antarctica, you'd look like this. Now, of course, the moon over here orbits around the Earth like this. And I'm going to add an arrow to it to help us with the rotation. And so to Superman at the North Pole, that arrow would point up, but from the perspective of Thor at the South Pole, that arrow would point down from this perspective. And now I know what you're thinking. If all that's true, then which way would the arrow point if you're Spider-Man standing here at the equator? Well, according to our model here, it should be sideways. And sure enough, here in Ecuador at the equator, I'm happy to report that the moon does in fact appear to be sideways. For fun fact 2 of 7, if you just stick 2 pins into some cardboard like this, and then connect them with the string and trace it out, you get my favorite geometric shape, an ellipse. But there's something really special about these 2 pinholes. They're called the focus points, and any straight line you shoot out in any direction from one of the points will bounce off the wall of the ellipse and always hit the other focus point. And here's proof, because I've got a laser pointer at one focus point, a ball of wax at the other, and then here's some wall. But here's the really cool part. If you build an actual full-size room and stand at one focus point, you can hear even the faintest whisper from anyone standing at the other focus point, even hundreds of feet away, because all the sound waves bounce right back to your ears. In fact, this actual ellipse-shaped room was built by John Quincy Adams in the U.S. Capitol building. The legend has it, he was a master anticipating the moves of his opponents plotting against him on the opposite side of the large hall. And now that you know the physics involved, it should come as no surprise that John Quincy Adams conveniently placed his desk right on top of this leftmost focus. Next up at number 3, everyone knows when you slam on the accelerator pedal in a car, the stuff inside slides backward, and when you slam on the brakes, the stuff inside just keeps moving forward. Including you, by the way, which is why we wear seatbelts. So then why the heck, when I'm driving to the birthday party and I have to slam on the brakes, does the cake slide forward, but the balloons actually move backwards? Now as for the kick slide forward, well, that's just Newton's first law in action, which basically says all stuff is kind of lazy and wants to
Objects
stay
in motion stay in
still unless the
motion.
force comes in and tries to move things. And then Newton's second law tells us the more you weigh and the more mass you have, the more force is required to even get you to move. But here's the thing we sometimes forget. The air around us is a fluid, and it also has mass. It weighs something. This is why air pressure is a thing. There's tons of air molecules stacked up above us, and they each weigh just a tiny bit. So we are like at the bottom of this air molecule dogfight. This is why your chip bag expands when you head up to the mountain, because it's moved up the dog pile. Now there's less air above it, weighing down, pushing in on all sides. And for a little proof, here's a simple demonstration that the air molecules around us do actually weigh something. When I throw this thing into the sun, it moves, but it doesn't quite knock it over. Now all I'm going to do is take that exact same balloon and just add air. That's it. Everything else is identical and unchanged. And yet now, it belongs to the side. So that means we increase the mass only by adding some extra air. Because again, the second law states, the heavier, the more mass of a thing is, the better it is at crossing things over. So in the car, when you slam on the brakes, it's not just the stuff in the back that has mass that wants to be moving, but all that invisible air does too. So when I slam on the brakes, the air itself also sloshes forward. And since that air is more dense than the helium gas in the balloon, the lightweight balloon is forced backwards. And that's the first time. You say a helium balloon floats in air, or this ping pong ball floats in water, but it's almost more like the heavier, more dense thing, in this case the water, rudely cuts to the front of the line, forcing the poor ping pong ball up and out of the way. In fact, you can see if we lay this jar on its side, the same thing happens as in the car. When I give the jar a push, the water sloshes back, which forces the less dense ping pong ball forward, and then when it stops, the dense heavy water sloshes forward, forcing the ping pong ball back.
I'm gonna
And
try
for
to
number
craft
4,
you
we're
guys.
back here on the lake. To figure out if sailboats move by having wind blow in their sails, why don't they just get a big old fan like this to power them through the water? Sort of like the guy in this viral video, who's using a leaf blower, pointing into an umbrella, to scoot his way around on a skateboard. Well, let's think this through with a simple demo of a fan that's attached to this train car. When I turn the fan on and it blows air to the right, which way will the car go? Well, of course it goes left, because it's basically cutting through the air and pushing it backwards, which creates an equal and opposite reaction that pushes the train forward, just like an airplane propeller pushing air backwards moves the plane forward. It's no different than me standing on this skateboard, and when I push watermelons to the left, they push back on me, so I roll to the right. Again. And so now let's place a brick here so this car can't move, and then add a second cart here with a sail. Now when I turn the fan on, which way will this cart move?
Rings close. Only 1 minute to go.
Of course to the right, because all that fast-moving air hits the sail. It's like it's being bonked by all those tiny little water. So if we now remove the brick, and this cart wants to move to the left, and then this one wants to move to the right, what'll happen when we connect them?
Gotta treat myself. Rings not that far.
With each car trying to move in opposite directions with the same amount of force. If it actually sort of does work to move the boat forward, you just have to lose the sail and point it the other way. But at that point, you might as well just take that same fan and stick it underneath the boat, so you can much more effectively push against the heavy water instead of just air, which is, of course, exactly what a boat is. And sure enough, when I plug it into real life, as you can see, I don't go anywhere. So then if we've totally debunked the idea of blowing your own sail, then what about the guy with the leaf blower and umbrella on the skateboard? Well, I've copied this exact same setup here, and I can confirm it. This has nothing to do with the umbrella or the leaf blower, and everything to do with the fact that this is an electric skateboard with the battery stored right under here, exactly the same as you can see in a bunch of these shots from his video. Now, before we get to the last 3, including answering if this demo for tourists is a scam, if you're like me and you love that aha moment when you learn something new, well, I got great news for you.
Let me guess. Crunch Lab?
I'm glad you said it. Oh. 5, the whole way around. So the question is, how much more extra rope would I need to buy to add to this rope to make that happen? Now you might be thinking double or even triple this amount, but what if I told you you only need this much extra rope? 6.28 feet to be exact. Think about that. The circumference of the Earth is 131 million feet, and yet you only
can win if your heart's in the right place.
Focus, fight, win.
This is your champion.
Battle lies below.
Extra supplies here. Use them to your advantage. Peacekeeper here. Hop up here. Skull piercer. Extended light magazine here. Level 3.
Round 1. Attention, ring countdown.
First blood.
Hemlock here. Extended sniper magazine here. Level 3.
Champion eliminated.
45 seconds, ring's just up ahead.
The champion has proved unworthy of Sentinel here.
Seconds remain. Safety is
Peacekeeper
an arrow
here.
shot away. Backpack here. Level 2.
Ring's around the corner, 10 left.
We'll be well positioned there.
Warning. Movement in progress.
Ring's moving.
Target spotted.
Care package being delivered.
Care package incoming.
Scanning the area.
We're scattered. Do you want to die that way? Wait, I have crafting to do.
Scanning the area. Target spotted. Hostile spotted. Target over there.
I better grab an upgrade. It goes well with my level up.
Target over there.
Upgraded and good to go.
Bless me with sight. We're scattered. Battling the enemy. Let's explore over there. Marking our surroundings. I'm under fire. Recharging shields. I'm taking fire. Broken enemy's shield. Reload. Recharging my shields. Targeting that spot.
Round
All
2.
Father, give me sight.
Ring countdown.
I'm under fire. I'm taking fire. Battling the enemy. Recharging shields. Reloading.
Attention. Delivering replicator.
Grenade. Replicator on high. I'm under fire. Shields are depleted. Recharging. There is another spot. They're attacking. Got it. I have fallen.
You and me now.
I'm under fire. Recharging shields.
Extra supplies over here.
Shooting. I'm under fire. Enemy shield cracked. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Even tower out.
Half of the heal.
New kill leader. Go on, watch out.
45 seconds and a nearby ring. We strategized effectively.
Enough stuff. Listen up, there's another squad coming in.
Wait. I have crashing to do. I've secured the banner. They get a second chance.
Fast with that sugar. Just give my shields a recharge.
Warning. Ring movement in progress.
The ring is coming. Reposition now. Shields are depleted. Recharging.
Attention.
Looks like a care package is coming in. Big things in that. Here's your birthday present. Tossing a respawn beacon. SMG here.
It was not my time.
Backpack here. Level 1. Spitfire here.
Enemy at that location.
Try to get over to our other teammate.
Enemy far off.
Round 3. Beginning ring countdown.
Let's target over there.
Attention. Delivering replicator.
Replicator on high.
1 minute. Rings nearby.
An enemy landed near me.
Enemy on me.
Battling the enemy. Less than 1 minute.
Reloading. Enemy down. Enemy far off.
Listen up, I'm getting shot at.
Reloading. Scanning the area.
Reloading. Perhaps the lone squad I sense nearby will truly test your skill.
That entire squad has fallen.
Come and get your birthday present. Recharging my shield. Backpack here. Level 3.
10 seconds. The ring is close.
Level med kit here. I'm spotted. Taking fire.
Combat.
Come on, sailor.
Broken enemy shield. Marking up.
Just giving my shield a
Target
recharge.
is near me. Hold. And fatal. We'll be caught outside the ring if we don't move.
You know, there's a care package coming down.
They on top of us or below us?
I'm spotted. Taking fire.
Damn, there's the whole team up there just camping.
What can I say?
Just camping away.
my nickname in college. I'm glad I didn't go to college.
It's something with the enzymes in the blueberries that cut the carrot, etc., etc. Bunch of stuff like that. I've actually done research into that. So you want to make smoothies?
Into the enzymes? You've done research?
And I will try things because I know enzymes that kill the bitter.
What sort of enzymes are they?
Whenever we get there, I'm here for it, okay?
Shut your power, Wang Chung. Nobody fucking asked you. Third's over here trying to ask you.
Ask me what?
I don't know, some rude ass shit. I'm being a fucking turd right now.
Rude ass shit I asked about enzymes. Are you crazy? Are you talking about me?
I asked about enzymes. Yeah, you're right. Don't feed the trolls.
Don't feed the trolls.
What are you even talking about, you weirdos? You guys are the ones who were talking about enzymes and your blueberries.
Whatever, double down the mama's ass crack.
I don't care. If
This
somebody
is-
wants to ask like a legit
I
question
asked
that I
about
can-
enzymes and you're being a total douchebag about it?
Bye.
How is this how you start the game off?
Whatever happened, it did double down the mama's ass crack.
Do you know how to talk?
I see you coming, but my fence did.
Not all the time. No, he doesn't.
Enough lambing around, we dropping.
Bye.
But I have to remember, you have fucking randos all the time.
No matter the game loaded, no.
Map show is spread out around much.
The next ring's far. Anyone know a shortcut? Or secrets?
Attention. First blood.
Are you gonna be okay over there?
First blood. Now the game's really starting. Ring closes in 45. An opponent landed near me.
Oh.
Good. Jumping out.
Extra supplies here. Okay.
Leveled up.
Extended
It's
supply bin
upgrade
here.
time.
Extra
Let's
gear
see
ain't
what the
good either.
duck ordered. Now that's an upgrade.
Taking you out almost took me out.
Bye. Next.
Attention. Delivering care package.
Hey, why you don't
Incoming care
move.
package.
There's an enemy near me.
Coming to you, buddy. I killed their teammate. Nice. Killed the Bangalore. Are you clear over there?
Coastal camp is clear. I don't know about Echo. Just be careful. Wait over here by the spider's nest. Damn. Better move. They scanned me from right there. Shit.
I'm coming, buddy. Don't worry. I'm running. I'm not stopping for nothing. Just keep the distance. Keep. Thank you, buddy.
Is there a 301 in there? Hold on. Turn that bitch around. Here, Rick, give me that. Give a fuck if I got no ammo.
New kill leader. Wonder what the play was. It'd be a good idea to go there.
¿Qué tal? Spicy.
Have it already, buddy, with a purple bolt.
I ain't got no lights. I'm not gonna look for them right now. Got PK.
Yep.
Nice.
Gotta hop up here. Hammer point.
Yeah, I just picked up a piercer.
Energy ammo. 30-30 repeater here.
Got one already. Yeah.
No, you guys need to stop hitting that shit, man.
They're just sitting there hitting the same beacon over and over again. Oh, no, they're not. No, they're not. It's probably time to move. Shit.
Replicator incoming, friends.
I don't wanna.
You gotta take a left, homie. You got to.
I don't wanna. Wah. Uh-oh. I'm in danger.
Just line at 4%. About to pop one out my ass.
Living the dream.
Just making my way downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Right in here. I want nothing to do with it.
Keep moving.
I think we should go there.
Somebody's shooting at me, buddy.
Yeah, it's the same time I fucking started lagging all crazy. Makes sense. These new cheats are amazing. I love them.
Honestly.
Losers. Y'all can't just play for real.
Like everyone else. Like everyone else does.
Ever since a couple days ago, it's almost impossible for me to get a decent grapple. It's like the fucking internet does not cooperate. Oh look, a mobile respawn. Too bad I don't care.
Hey, he's staying right in my pocket. I'm not even wasting my time with his ass. He's gonna need 3 points like his water.
No, it's free shut the fuck up points. That's what that is. Yeah, you're gonna make me lag as you go by. Most definitely not going to show my face to you.
Oh, there's a survey fucking... Is this a ring console or is this a survey beacon? Okay, good. Good. I don't want no fucking... No, I was looking at the map, seeing where there is no more ring console. Or not the fucking...
Enemy close to me. Maybe I can sneak a peek at their gear.
I ain't moving. Yeah, guys, fight all that battle. Oh!
Beginning ring countdown.
Man, that was tempting, buddy. Woo!
Let's explore this way.
I stay right here. Don't do it.
So bad. And what's even crazier is if you did this around a basketball, it would be the exact same amount of extra rope. Now the map is just some straightforward 8th grade algebra, and you can see here because the radius
What I wanted.
this much extra rope. 6.28 feet to be exact. Think about that. Circumference of the Earth is 131 million feet, and yet you only need this much extra rope to lift the whole thing a foot off the ground all the way around. And what's even crazier is if you did this around a basketball, it would be the exact same amount of extra rope. Now the map is just some straightforward 8th grade algebra, and you can see here because the radius cancels out, it doesn't matter what size circle you use. It always works out to 2 pi, or about 6.28 feet of extra rope. But if math isn't your thing, don't worry, because if you just pretend the Earth is a square, it will immediately be obvious why the size of the object doesn't matter. So if this is my initial rope, when I raise it off the Earth by 1 foot, you can see in each corner, I only need 2 extra feet, so 8 feet total. And just like with a basketball, you'd still get the same answer if you tried it on a smaller 4-sided shape like your TV, which is pretty close to the 6.28 extra feet needed for a circle. And number 6, there was a Kickstarter a while back that claimed to have invented a floating backpack that reduced impact forces by 86%.
Welcome to the future of backpacking. Never seen a backpack that moves like this, or that moves like this. And this motion isn't just for show. By suspending the load, hover glide reduces impact forces by 80 to 90%.
I'm in danger. Once I noticed a lot of people in the comment section were debating whether or not this would actually help. So what do you think? Scam? I think for it not being a scam is that when you wear a normal backpack and you down, each step you take to move against gravity and to use that higher weight up and down with you as well. Sort of like pulling this weight up and down with a stiff rope. But if the backpack was elastically suspended on the track, its own inertia would tend to keep it vertically in the same spot. So you can still bounce up and down while the pack would move. To be like replacing that stiff rope with an elastic, at which point you can see it makes it a lot easier on my arms moving up and down as
Maybe, just maybe. Maybe, just maybe.
Pointed out how the pulley sports for frames to make the system work is build an extra 4 pounds of weight, and whether it's bouncing or not, you're still carrying 4 extra pounds to the top of the mountain. But the video just shows the ideal use case.
Did I really just get away with that?
Probably wouldn't work that smoothly in isolation.
No, they're fighting because they think they're part of us. Let's hurry up before they figure it out.
I ordered one myself and then went hiking through a few miles with the normal backpack and then put the exact same amount of weight in the hover glide backpack to qualitatively compare the difference.
That's fine.
I don't like it. Feels like it's like
there is a solo option.
Oh, that feels
There's a
good.
whole lot of
That's
lag
kind
going
of
on
a
too.
trick, I feel. If you hit the right cadence, it's magical. It's not the right cadence, it's the opposite of magic. Oh yeah, now it's... And then it gets out of sync, throws you literally off balance.
So ironically is that on flat, predictable terrain, it can be beneficial. But on any sort of rough, sporadic high terrain, it's just not worth the extra weight and force from out of sync issues.
I heard it hit the ground. I'm like, yo, is that next to me? Looks up, sees the floor explode.
See if this popular demonstration for tourists is actually scary. Does the water really
But
drain
how would
in
you know
opposite
where to?
directions, even just a few
I don't
feet
know,
on
bro.
either side of the equator? And relatedly,
This
the
shit
toilets
weird.
also swirl in opposite directions in the northern versus southern hemisphere. Now for the toilets, let me just debunk that myth out of the gate.
Okay, this is another ring
If you look
console.
closely, the swirl direction is just a function
No more,
of which way the nozzles
no more,
as you can see here, and with any toilets
how you
you
say it?
inspect yourself. But what about
Scanning
sinks
of the
that
people.
have just a drain, like in the
We don't
demo
get
here,
any more
where there
things.
are no nozzles? Well, believe it or not, there's actually some
No
truth to this
fucking-
idea because of something
no
called
more
the
piggy.
Coriolis effect, and it's the
No
same
flipping
reason you
piggy.
might have noticed weather patterns like this.
No more
spinning
human
back.
king, did I say? It's 28 points. Ooh, I hear clunk clink, clunk clink. I hear you, fatty.
Oopsies.
Octane down.
We gotta be able to move in less than a minute, so you better be fucking paying attention instead of fucking laughing. Now.
Oh, bitch. Now, go fuck yourself. Why?
I think every place is safe. You're gonna come to me, or you're gonna stay out in the open.
I'm in cover. I'll come to you.
I'm getting pushed right now.
How do you guys...
Yes, I'm inside the next ring.
Fuck.
Fan one.
Only lasted 2 minutes and talking all that shit. I want to actually get a day job.
today is not gonna be easy.
This is your champion.
Land there. I'm itching to draw first blood. Land there if you know it's good for you.
Counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, in which case we call them hurricanes, and clockwise in the southern hemisphere, in which case we call them cyclones. And the reason for this is pretty straightforward to understand if you imagine you have a very big sea that spans from the equator all the way up to the North Pole. In that case, a single drop of water in the sink at the equator here is going for a joyride really fast as the Earth spins, and a drop of water near the middle is moving at a medium speed. The drop of water at the North Pole isn't moving at all because it's right on the axis. So now when you pull the plug on the sink and the water moves toward the middle, the drop here is suddenly moving laterally much faster than the slower water that was near the drain. So it gets out in front of the drain. And conversely, a drop here at the North Pole is laterally moving much slower than the water near the drain. So it falls behind. So when all the drops are affected this way, you naturally get a counterclockwise swirl, just like a hurricane, where the eye of the hurricane is the low pressure zone like the drain. And then of course applying all the same logic to the southern hemisphere would naturally do the opposite, resulting in a clockwise swirl. So does this mean that sinks do in fact drain opposite in the northern and southern hemispheres? Well, sadly, no. Because the Coriolis effect is really only noticeable the greater distance you're moving up or down from the equator. So unless you have a 5-mile wide sink, or if you make the most perfect conditions like my friends Dustin and Derek showed,
The water is flowing clockwise due to the Earth's rotation.
the water is going counterclockwise because I'm in the northern hemisphere. It's real. This effect is way too small to have any meaningful impact on the swirl directions of sinks and toilets, at which point it comes down to other factors like sink geometry, or the fact that the seemingly still water is still barely moving around when the plug is full. So then what about that tourist? Well, if you play it back and look closely, you can see at the end of this pour, he does the same twisting motion. So the water just continues to swirl in the direction of the twist. So when he finishes the pour here, he twists this way, and the water continues swirling that way. Then after moving the sink allegedly over the equator, he finishes the pour twisting the opposite direction, and then the water swirls in that opposite direction. In fact, you can easily recreate this demo yourself at home to see that by copying this method, you can also easily get a whirlpool in both directions. And therefore, it should come as no surprise that when I ask this question, does it work even like if I pour the water? Is denied the opportunity to test it himself. On top of all that, as the final nail in the coffin, if you actually look up the GPS coordinates of this place, it's more than a football field away from the official equator, which means we were actually in the southern hemisphere the whole time. So instead of actual science, this is just an attempt to take your money with nothing more than a lame magic trick, where the real magic is all that new juicy knowledge I just wirelessly transferred from that TV watching me on from my brain into yours. It's a new year, which means it's a great time to invest in that passion for learning. Because that passion is not only to make... As you can see, I'm not in my normal spot, and that's because I'm actually on a cruise ship with the most beautiful lady on a mini vacation. Still, there's a lot to discuss, starting with Intel's upcoming CPU that you do not want to buy, more FPS, AMD failed to do it, and RX 8000 specs are in. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, Intel's upcoming special edition 14900KS is gearing up for release. And the reason we know this is because, according to iLeakVN, the CPU is already in distributor/retailer warehouses where it's awaiting for the official sale embargo to lift. And as you can see up here, they actually shared the retail box of the upgraded CPU.
and there's nothing special about it. I definitely haven't been a big fan of Intel's KS models, but at least a couple of them came with some pretty cool retail boxes, but they've pretty much given up on that as of now. Either way, we also have specs as well as a potential price. As you can see down here, the 14900KS is of course a 24-core CPU with up to 6.2 GHz boost. Now, you might notice that that boost is nowhere.
Dine and dash is the act of eating a meal at a restaurant and leaving without paying. When I hear dine and dash being mentioned, I immediately go to the great Charles Joseph when he was arrested and gave us one of the finest monologues ever recorded. This is democracy manifest. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Get your hands off my penis! When that video went viral so many years ago, there was a ton of different rumors and stories surrounding it. It had this air of mysticism almost. It ranged from hyping him up as some kind of Gotham supervillain to him being an infamous banging, dashing culprit that they were finally apprehending. And for some reason, that always stuck with me. So when I think of Dine and Dash, he is who I picture in my head now. Even though that wasn't the truth of that situation there, it's still, for some reason, what has been lost in my noodle. So today when I saw a body cam video of a douchebag being arrested for dine and dashing, I couldn't help but just think about Charles Joseph and how much cooler he was than this movie we're about to watch.
On August 16, 2022, officers responded to reports of a man being arrested without paying his bill.
Why are you asking for my ID?
Because you are being accused of a crime. I say that you did. But I can't be identified.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right? Relax. Relax. Come over here.
That's the gist of it. He's being accused of not paying his bill at a restaurant, so now he's got 1 star, and the cops are just casually coming up to him asking for his ID. This video is blown up over the last 12 hours, and every post about it says that this is a Wall Street Bets mod. Wall Street Bets is a very popular one. And I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but just about it says that this is a Wall Street Bets mod. I'm sure all of you have seen that Wall Street Bets is a very popular one. And I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but if this really is a mod on Wall Street Bets, that makes this situation even goofier, because this goober is the quintessential Reddit mod in real life caricature, and it couldn't be more fitting. It's exactly what you envision when you picture a mod interacting with other human beings in the real world.
I went over there to have happy hour. I had some food, and I was a day trade. I do option trading. I got a business major, and I got an account, so I do day trade.
He randomly decides to mention that he's a day trader, does options like yeehaw, woo, what fucking it has nothing to do with anything. That is only the real answer is Michael Jordan. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter.
How much did you have? What did you have? No, it was on $70, bro. $70. So
God, his attitude is so insufferable. So he's laughing at, it was only $70, bro. I make that in the millisecond with my day trading and options.
Give me my upgrade syndicate
I'm a Hustlers University graduate, and I learned all
Meds
about
with the
stuff,
upgrade.
brother. I was on Reddit the other day getting my financial advice as I usually do, and I'm making a killing right now.
My
$70
ultimate's ready
is
to go.
nothing. Like, this is a non-issue. He just doesn't understand like liquidity versus supply and demand. He doesn't understand the bell curve, the angle of azimuth.
I tried to pay with Apple Pay.
Okay.
And he said, I'm sorry, sir, we don't take Apple Pay. I was like, who? I give him my credit card. Credit card that you open. Space was really upset already. And I'm like, I tried to educate him. I'm like, listen, I don't have any liquidity to me.
I need help.
All my capital is my investment. In banks, I don't have banks.
He sounds like me when I was back in high school thinking of excuses for why I didn't finish an assignment. It's just a bunch of nonsense mumbo jumbo. He goes through his whole speech about why he can't pay for it because he doesn't believe in liquidity. You know, liquidity is his belief held by simpletons, and he doesn't have anything in the bank. He'd be a damn fool to have anything in the bank, obviously. So he just can't pay for the food at all. He talks about how all of his money's in investments, which is turbo dope. I have no doubt in my mind this guy is investing epic swag style into the coolest Web3 projects. He's got tons of awesome coins. Like, I know he's crushing it. Big thanks to World of Warships for sponsoring this video. I've been working with the World of Warships team for quite some time to design some custom in-game content. So I'm a commander in the game now. I go by Chuck Blast on the seas out there. The name of our ship is Blastmaster. We sail under Chuck's flag. So I help design the assets, demos, kind of talk about it. Looks like me, sounds like me, I am, for all intents and purposes, engaged in war out there, and it's extremely fun. World of Warships is an amazing game that my father and I played together. He's been hard addicted for years, so it's really fun to watch him play as Chuck Blast. So there's new content released every month. There's so many ships to choose from: destroyers, battleships, aircraft carriers, cruisers, and you can play alone or in a division with friends. So you can use code PenguinZ0 to get the mission to unlock me as your commander, Chuck Blast. You also get 7 days premium account time, 1.5 million credits, 500 doubloons, and the battleship Bayern. It's available for PC and consoles, and the code is for newly registered players, but existing players can acquire these items by purchasing my bundle or through the new internet's containers. So you can click the link in the description to get started. Thanks again, World of Warships.
Okay, did you have any means to pay that 70? No. I want to sue that. I'm sorry. But did you, no. I'm sorry. You're asking the wrong question, sir. I'm so sorry. You consume food, right? Huh? You consume food? Yeah. It's just something was off with this guy. He pitched his crazy fit, went nuts in here, threatening people. Okay, did you have any means to pay?
Purchasing my bundle or through the new internet's containers. You can click the link in the description to get started. Thanks again, World of Warships.
Okay, did you have any means to pay that 70? No. I'm You're asking the wrong question, sir. I'm so sorry. You consume food, right? Huh? You consume food? Yeah. It's just something was off with this guy. He pitched this crazy fit, went nuts in here, threatening people. I'm talking about, like, went nuts at the bar.
I love that he's playing the victim here like this. Oh, actually, I want to sue them for thinking I couldn't pay 70 measly dollars. 70 clams? Oh, that's nothing. Of course I can pay that. I have no ways of paying that because all of my money is in these investments, but I obviously have $70, and, you know, I want to sue them now. Like, the delusion on this guy is incredible. I have no doubt that he was probably trying to bargain with him at some point too, like, oh, actually, do you accept bonds here? I got to pay him some of these bonds, because, see, I'm an investor, so I don't really believe in okay, maybe not bonds. Do you accept a safe moon?
Yeah, no.
No safe moon? Oh my god, you guys are so behind on the times, it's archaic. No Web3 capabilities here? Okay, how about, can I pay you in Cum Rocket coin? Okay, I'm out of here. You want to accept Cum Rocket coin? I was even willing to leave a 200% tip. That's your fault now. $70 is nothing. That's literally no money at all. I farted $70 coming out of my ass. It's not that I can't pay, it's that I'm not going to pay because you're not accepting real currency like my shit currency. And apparently he was throwing a tantrum too, threatening people. What an unhinged lunatic.
Did you have a way to pay that bill now? No, I don't have it now. Okay? Alright. I want to report what they said because it was a statement. Can I send it to my dad? No, kick me out. Yeah, I know, but because... No. Alright. Hold on. Victor. No, you can't. You can't because then you're going to go to jail. Yeah, I know. Put your butt over here. Don't hold that.
Weirdo NPC here is trying a very interesting technique of being as annoying as possible. I put out a large chunk of it there because it was just him putting on this, like, drama club thespian performance about being on camera and shit. Just to be a nuisance, I think that's what he's trying to do here. It's just be so bothersome to the officer that the officer loses interest. So he, like, de-aggroes the police officer by just being annoying, and the police officer just doesn't want to deal with the headache and leaves. I'm pretty sure that's what his strategy is, but luckily, it doesn't work out.
Now, how late we stay open? It might take him to 10 o'clock before he can pay his time. He's on his computer. I mean, it would...
Renee's fine. Got 45 till it closes.
I go through this racist stuff. But you know what? I'm tired of it. I think this guy is just a real con man, and I think he's going to go from place to place. Absolutely.
He then tries to claim that it was racism here that led to this situation, but he's really going for every possible approach he can to weasel his way out of this. The business owner here is saying how he thinks he's a con man who just goes business to business pulling this stunt. And I think he's probably right. It feels like this isn't his first rodeo with dine and dashing. It feels like this is probably something he does pretty often.
I got the money to pay, and I was trying to pay. Alright, can you pay now? No, I'm not paid, so I want to sit down, have a water, while I get my payment.
This guy must have the orb of confusion in his pockets right now, because he is spitting some stupid shit. He is on that moron potion right now. It's so confusing. Listen to him. He's lost in his own sauce. He's like, oh, I just wanted to have a water. I was going to pay. I didn't pay. I was planning on paying. I wanted to pay. I was going to pay. Robin says, can you pay now? And he goes, no! Like, what the fuck?
Can I do it? Granny, I need to know they want to press charge. Yeah, no, I want to press charge. Me, officer. Can you answer me that question? I want to press charge to the restaurant, not to me. I'm sorry. We get
Buddy starts spamming emotes now, and he's like, I actually want to sue them. Playing this card here. And I'd love to know how that lawsuit would go. I'm suing this restaurant because they're mad at me for not paying my bill. I fully planned on paying my bill. I just refused to. I even offered to give them an IOU. They didn't accept it. That's their fault. No matter me, what the fuck, man. Nothing wrong. So sorry. So you're not guilty, man. Alright, you have, what do you have here that you can pay? That you can pay the bill? What do you have here that you can pay the bill? No, but you can't pay me that. Yeah, so that's all you want to Look, I can absolutely afford to pay. Look at my Robinhood account. And the officer's like, brother, you can't pay with that there. And he's like, I know! Hey, look, it's right here. I can't pay, but this is where it all is. It's not my fault. What am I supposed to do about that? Gotcha. I'm sorry, man. Déjame callarme, porque contigo está mal. I'm questioning your effort. It's so funny. You can't wait to see what's gonna happen. It's amazing. His mannerisms, he's like going full Joker mode here. I'm the Joker, baby. This guy's just acting like he's some kind of weird, quirky goofball. He's like, you're not going to want to miss what happens next. It's going to be amazing what happens next. Gotham deserves a new class of day trader, and I'm going to give it to him. Siéntate. Sit! Random. 71 taser pointing. I'm sitting down, guys. Stick to it. Put your hands behind your back. Feet, put your hands behind your back. Telling that I'm trying to pay my car, and now he's arresting me. Get up. Things have escalated here, and he continues to try and say that he's attempting to pay his tab. He's also lobbying to civilians around him, like, look at what's happening. I don't understand what's going on. I was just telling the officer I was trying to pay my tab. I even showed my Robinhood account. I was going to pay my tab with my imaginary money that I don't have. What do you mean? I don't know what's going wrong. This injustice. I can't believe it. I'm Republican too.
Introducing your
And he's
champion.
Spanish. It's a system. He sucks, mama. Why are you searching me? Stop. You're under arrest. Why? He's telling me I'm under arrest, but he's not telling me why. You're under arrest for theft. For theft? Yeah. Theft is our thing.
Thank you for your quickness and your kindness. Can I
sure. Oh. Thanks so much. Appreciate that.
The juxtaposition between these two officers' experiences is comical.
hope you're ready.
One
Let's
of them
do this,
having
brothers.
the worst day of their life, having to interact with this insufferable loser, and then the other one just hanging out with the restaurant owner who's being extremely sweet and just gives them water and so much.
Thank you, Officer Hernandez. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your service. There's nothing to do.
I get out a lot there, things get very messy. It reaches this weird climax where this guy just starts going a little ballistic and wiggling around, which eventually ends the thing that is taken to the ground and tries to do this thing on top of already this. And now they've got him back to the control card, he's asking him not to delete the video, which I think we really should have asked him to delete the video. I don't know why he thought he'd come out of this looking like the good guy here. Everything he could do wrong, he did wrong. many times. I'm honestly convinced that he must have been the diversion to a bigger scheme, like something out of Ocean's 11. Like this guy was supposed to just occupy all of the cruises at the time, by just playing as loud and as possible, so they got their attention all on him, while his associates do crime elsewhere. That way it'd keep the heat on him.
TTV Smoosh Bunch says, last one.
Out of nowhere, he just starts like yelling and screaming and trying to like get everyone's attention from the public around him too, and it just makes this huge hoopla, this massive song and dance out of this situation. So it really feels like he was the diversion in a movie for a bigger crime plot. It was weird.
I can pay the tab right now, so.
I can heal you in 9 seconds.
And I can sleep up to $100. No? And I know it was a miscommunication, and I know you're gonna have to apologize to me. You know? And the owner gonna have to apologize to me too.
You can't pay the tab by just flashing your Robinhood account somewhere. It doesn't just beam the money quantumly into their cash register. You can't pay it. That's the whole root of the issue here. You were provided a service under the expectation that you would pay for the service you were provided, and you can't. Also, you apparently freaking out and throwing a massive tantrum in the restaurant probably didn't help things at all. I imagine if you were a bit more respectful about it, like, oh man, Apple Pay's not going through, my credit card's not swiping, something must really be wrong. I can afford to pay this, but maybe we'll need to think of another way of doing it, this and that. Like, if you were more respectful about it, I imagine this may have played out a little bit differently. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. That's about it. See ya.
High food prices, unfortunately, have put such a strain on American families that people are trying to get creative about how to get their next meal in the richest country in the world. This is so devastating and shameful, but nonetheless, for some, that includes extreme couponing, which is fun. I like couponing. Gardening, grow your own, and even hunting, which I know people do it. I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but to each their own. Now, on Monday, we talked about how the Wall Street Journal's report on high food prices is, in fact, a political liability for Biden, but more importantly, a strain on American families. It's been 30 years since food ate up this much of your income. Ongoing high costs lead food manufacturers and restaurants to keep prices elevated. So they found that in 2022, consumers spent 11.3% of their disposable income on food, which is a 3-decade high. Now, after publishing that piece, the Journal asked their readers to weigh in and share what they've been doing to cope. How are they making ends meet? How are they trying to keep the price of food for their families as low as possible? Some of the responses weren't too surprising. For instance, some people said that they're imposing new limits on eating out, something that I really should implement because it is costly. Using more.
Jake Khaled was a pioneer on that. That old reference that, and I just don't think about it too much in mind.
I won't. Using more coupons at both grocery stores and restaurants, and buying more in bulk, so going to Costco, while purchasing less packaged food, meat, and organic vegetables. But others are also going to greater lengths. Before we go to what others are doing, though, John, have you changed any of your habits when it comes to groceries?
I mean, I do think that takeout or delivery is very expensive. So that's something that I used to like to do much more. I don't really do that anymore. Like, getting like, Indian for 2 is like $70. That's too much.
So crazy.
It's like going to a restaurant used to be. But we also, a couple years back, we started doing Blue Apron, which, like that as part of, they don't give it to me. It's not a sponsor. I pay for it myself. But that works out, at least according to my math, as being pretty cheap per meal.
Yes.
So that's one of the ways that we sort of simplify a lot of the dinners, at least.
Blue Apron has actually, so, by the way, I swear to God, this is not a plug for Blue Apron, but Blue Apron has actually been a great way for our household to save money as well. Because I'm paying for those meals, I'm gonna make sure I make use of those meals. So I'm gonna cook the food, and it is relatively cheap, and I don't want it to go to waste. I'm spending money on the service, and yeah, I think spending money going out for dinner is just so astronomical right now. So Blue Apron has been very helpful too. Now let's get to some of the more extreme things people are doing. So, Bernard Rothman, a 67-year-old retired human resources executive, basically scaled up his gardens to save money on groceries. I'm jealous of this person because who among us has a garden, honestly?
We might have millions.
good waste. I'm spending money on the service, and yeah, I think spending money going out for dinner is just, it's so astronomical right now. So Blue Apron has been very helpful for our family too. Now let's get to some of the more extreme things people are doing. So Bernard Rothman, a 67-year-old retired human resources executive, basically scaled up his gardens to save money on groceries. I'm jealous of this person because who among us has a garden?
We might have millions of people watching. You can be a business because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make business. Click join now.
Oh, well, you could have a garden. You could have a garden. Most people don't have gardens. A lot of people do. So, Bernard Rothman, very happy for you, and I hope one day to have my own garden. But I'm glad he's taking full advantage of it. He now grows more than a dozen crops from spring to fall in a community garden.
Definitely using a community garden.
Come up through here to the top.
Just to volunteer with us.
Come through that.
Another built at his son's house nearby. He spends about $200 on fertilizer and seeds for the kale, carrots, squash, tomatoes, and other food he grows, but winds up saving hundreds in grocery bills across the season.
Run away, get out.
Gardening is very relaxing. It's a nice way to get in touch with nature. It's a nice way to go outside and literally touch grass.
Yeah, if you can do it, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
By the way, that's not all he's doing. Rothman tries to cook food in batches, freezing portions of salmon. I don't know. This is too much effort. Salmon and other meat. Okay. But I really do admire people who have the energy to do it. It's just, food prep means it's your day off, and you must now dedicate a part of your precious time off to meal prep.
Put an iPad or something in there. You put on a TV show or podcast. It's very relaxing. It's a great way to get back in touch with nature.
You're crazy. Let's get to Nancy Randall, who's using a different technique. After watching her household expenses surge, Randall cracked down on her family spending, insisting that everyone cut their expenses by 30%. Jesus. For the 56-year-old retired dietitian in Houston, oh my God, living in that house must be unbearable. That has meant more discipline in the grocery store and the kitchen. Instead, Randall's family is making more use of the food they harvest themselves, the deer they hunt and fish they catch. Her family fishes for snapper in the Gulf of Mexico and shoots about 8 deer a year, processing the meat into venison sausage and hundreds of tamales.
That sounds cool. That's going to be difficult for a lot of people to do, but you could do that. Yeah.
I'm set. I'm waiting.
They do, well, yeah, I think that he's an offshoot from them. Look, growing up, my father hunted a couple deer. I vaguely remember that. No, I was too little at that point. But for some people, that is a thing. Like, I know, some family in Texas, they do hunting to actually eat. It's a thing.
It's definitely a thing. I visited a friend in Arkansas many years ago, and he loves living in, like, a rural community, so there were, like, no houses for very, very, like, long distance, which back then I thought was crazy. These days, I'm like, this is really, really the dream. I wish I had that. But anyway, we also did the deer hunting and then froze a bunch of the meat, which lasts a long time because animals do get for some families, yeah, hunting does make sense. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. Like, it just, my own personal thing. No judgment if you do it, I guess. But obviously, do it legally, there are laws around it. And, anyway, with that said.
That's your hunting and eating.
I know. Kathleen,
beautiful, by the way. That was polite.
John, but look, since I'm not vegetarian myself, I try to the work week. I feel bad judging people who also eat meat but don't want to buy it at the grocery stores and want to go hunting for themselves. I
eat meat. I'm just talking about the irony. I'm not judging.
I know. Let's go to another person and stop listening to John, okay? So Glindmeyer, Kathleen Glindmeyer, who's a 69-year-old registered dietitian from Phoenix, used to shop grocery stores during a monthly 10% off season when she remembered. Now she plans for it, making sure that is when she buys dish detergent, cat food, and other items that are rarely marked down. She and her husband now eat some canned goods past their best-by dates. I don't know if that's a good idea. After a recent lunch with friends cost $150 for entrees on a Rocky Blonde Beach, the group has shifted to a regular potluck at one of their houses, she said. I like that idea a lot. I love potlucks. They're fun.
We should do one.
Maybe.
Okay. I don't know why I bothered trying to find one of you things. That was cold, by the way. You're more polite to the animals you hunt than you are to me. I don't want to go.
Dog!
It has to be meticulously planned.
Those are dogs.
Oh, but
You were correct.
The dietitian wants like her family members to cut their costs
Hello.
by 30%.
Would you like to hit the fire hydrant?
Executive of like a Fortune 500 company in her household. Like, calm down, calm down. Okay. No, with the potlucks. We all know the potlucks, right? There's like 28 people who show up with like a 2-liter thing of soda.
What potlucks have you been to? You bring a dish, not soda.
You gotta bring the dish, guys. You gotta bring the dish.
Put the soda in a dish.
And you gotta make sure that no one else is bringing the dish that you're bringing. You don't want to have, you know, this like double dish situation. It's bad. You want some variety in a potluck. That's what you're looking forward to.
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw one, and I'm gonna send you photos of all of us happily eating 10 versions of the same thing, and most of it's soda.
Oh my god, if you host a potluck, can you call it Sean's Hometown Buffet?
That's so much anticipation for that. Yeah, I'll Photoshop it and everything if you'll show up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. But anyway, look, people are working hard to make ends meet, and it sucks. People feel squeezed, everything costs more, and the thing that I've noticed is paper products have become insanely expensive, like tissue paper, for instance.
Oh, so sorry.
I can't believe like toilet paper.
Sorry for thinking you
I
might
don't, look,
actually be a
prices will
threat.
vary depending on where you
I don't
live in
think
the
of
country,
myself
sure,
as the
but
best.
do you want like a
All of you
12
was the
pack of toilet
worst.
paper, Charmin toilet paper?
Fancy that. I stick a fork in you, you're done.
Like you gotta get the softest double ply toilet paper available. It's like $20.
I don't know what it used to be. It's not like gas where I have like strong ideas of each year how much it costs. I don't know how much toilet paper costs.
Too much.
Too much.
Too much.
Damn bears.
On Monday, a man named Grant Haber agreed to pay a little over $13,000 for removing 32 of his neighbor's trees so he'd have a better view of Manhattan. The ball's on that guy, okay? Like, going onto the private property of some... On Monday, a man named Grant
One other
Haber
squad with us.
agreed to pay a little over $13,000 for removing 32 of his neighbor's trees so he'd have a better view of Manhattan. The ball's on that guy, okay? Like, going to the private property of someone else and cutting down that individual's trees because he wants a better view of Manhattan. Okay, so let's get to the details, because it turns out that he might actually end up paying a lot more for the damage done, and I think he should. So, this bizarre saga began about a year ago when Sammy Shinway came home to find that his trees were being cut down, the trees on his property, okay? So he found out that Haber wasn't cutting down the trees himself. Instead, he hired a group of workers to do the work for him. According to Shinway, the workers told him that the person who hired them wanted a better view of the New York City skyline. At that point, Shinway called the police, but it was too late to stop the destruction while the trees were already cut down. So let's take an aerial view of the home that Grant Haber... That's a really freaking nice home, man. And I don't see any neighbors. Like, that looks so good.
It looks okay. Does it have a good view of the New York City skyline? Because otherwise, that's crap. I don't want to live in that shack.
I don't care about viewing anything other than the lack of human beings. Okay? Like, that looks awesome. Anyways, but let's move on. So, let's picture back up. Sorry for getting distracted by how much I want to live there. So, you see like an empty patch near the pool? That's where the trees were cut down. Now, with that said, Shinwei said in an interview last summer, why would anybody feel that they had the right to encroach on somebody's property that's clearly outlined by their own fence and do as they please on somebody else's property? It just felt like a very egregious act, almost too egregious, a disrespectful act.
Yeah.
Sammy, you should come to California, where people encroach on other people's property all the time and literally live in it for months at a time without anyone being able to kick them out. That literally happens here all the time. But with that said, and don't come for me if you think that that's okay. It's not okay. Now, Shinwei also decided to pursue legal action, and that has led to an ongoing legal process to determine just how much Haber will have to pay for what
Distort
he did.
Fire 1
Last
says,
year, the case went
go.
viral to the point where Shinwei could not even access a Zoom hearing for this specific case because so many people were interested in it.
Wow.
So they had all like logged in to see the case play out. But there have been some recent updates, so that's why this is in the news now. On Monday, Haber agreed to a plea deal negotiated by his attorney and the municipal prosecutor that reduced the number of trees considered to 18 and cut the penalty he paid per tree from $700 down from a potential $1,000 per tree. I think that is, the 1,000 was already too, like, we're talking about mature trees.
Yeah, it's not
32 of them.
Not nearly enough.
So, under the plea deal, Haber agreed to pay $13,194 in fines and court costs rather than the $32,000 plus fine that he was going to pay previously. But there's been a twist. So, the borough's prosecutor has said related damages and costs, including planting replacement trees, could exceed $1 million. After imposing the initial fines Monday, Judge Andrew Wubberenhorst scheduled an additional restitution hearing for April 19th. Shinwei noted last year that cases like these are often incredibly difficult to resolve. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, I'm sure there's precedent out there for stuff like this, but maybe not to this extent. Other cases, meaning did not damage trees to this extent. Since this case started making headlines, Shinwei said other homeowners have reached out with similar stories about alleged property encroachment, but with no resolution. Shinwei said, quote, "There's little recourse generally for incidents like this, and that's why I think so many people relate to the story. But I also think it's part of a bigger conversation. Trees are so important to the environment, yet they get illegally cut. We need to protect them, so I hope that it draws more attention towards it." Meanwhile, Haber has skipped town. Property records show, oh my god, this is where the injustice comes in, that his home last November, he sold it for a cool $1.8 million, which was $500,000 more than what he paid for it back in 2014.
10 years, so he made like $50,000 a year off the investment. So he cut down all the trees to get a better view, to then sell the house, I guess, with the better view. That's madness.
That is.
And also, like, the two different potential monetary fines he's facing are so wildly different. Like, $700 a tree is madness. You cannot get anything like those trees put back for $700. $1 million seems crazy on the other side. Like, what were those trees? They murdered tree deer or something? Were they young ents that were cut down? Like, that's way too much money. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm still mad about the Wonka thing. Maybe jail? Like,
no, John.
You knew exactly what you were doing, and when you went in and destroyed your neighbor's property for your selfish pleasure of a blue.
It's happening to John because, like,
I'm not saying for
I'm getting real excited by tapping into my tough on crime. You know, like, no one else does it. No other progressive does it, John.
Well,
so, like, you're
it's a rich person that did tree jail, okay?
Yeah.
No, there's no respect for I over the past few years, I walk and, like, you know, bike through neighborhoods and everything, and trees are like the determining factor so often of whether a neighborhood looks good or not. There's not nearly enough trees, especially in LA. We need to plant more trees. If you go in and kill someone, because you can't just replace it. Like, if he went in and, like, destroyed the guy's car, you can get another car. You plant trees, it's years, maybe decades until they're the same again. When the city comes around my neighborhood and trims the trees, they trim them way too short.
Yeah.
I want to pick a fight over that, and the tree's not even dead.
I'm jealous that the city shows up to trim your trees because
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago, but yeah.
that's why
It's
they
still-
trim it so much. They're like, we don't want to come back for several years.
Yeah.
So let's just, you know.
Although I learned from the strikes, the SAG strikes last year, that if you want to get the city to trim trees, if you protest near them and they'll kill trees, you're
Work
inside.
for strike.
Yeah.
The government will get real active.
Yeah, it's a shortcut. It's a life hack, I think. But yeah, no, this guy should pay.
I'm crafting.
$100,000.
No. You know what? I'm giving it prison.
Prison?
Maybe federal prison.
I think we should move that way.
Maybe Russian prison.
Maybe.
Let's go over there.
I don't know. It's you knew what you were doing, and also, I'm not a lawyer or anything. I shared that with Alina Haba.
You guys see
But he hired people
3 times
to
or
commit
2x4 scope.
Now I don't think they knew that they were breaking the law, but he knew that he was hiring other people to break the law. Shouldn't that be some additional charges?
Yes, John. Hell yeah, life. Without the possibility of parole.
Mm-hmm. Or community service, where he just plants trees for the next 10 years. How about that?
If you are not incessantly harassed online by leftists after your commentary today, I will now know without a shadow of a doubt that leftists are sexist.
Mhm.
Okay? I'm just going to say it right now.
Well, I will say, again, context, it's a rich guy, and also, look at this face. Come on, you gonna get mad at me?
Oh, they'll get mad at it. You're a white male. Yes, they'll come.
Usually we slide historically, actually. I think I'm gonna be okay. But anyway, I'm mostly joking, everyone,
No,
but I do
know.
like
I hope
trees.
they get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
The RTX 50 series might be launching sooner than we thought. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by VIPCDKDeals.com. CDK Deals is a website dedicated to getting you the best prices on games and software, and right now you can get a Windows 10 Pro OEM key for an insanely low price. Find the best price and apply my special discount code GPC20 for an additional 30% off. You can also check out securely with PayPal, and once the payment is cleared, you should get access to the code both in your account as well as in your email. In order to activate the new copy of Windows 10, just search Activate under Windows and type in your key. So if you want to learn more, be sure to click the link in the description below. So we just got a ton of new info on NVIDIA's upcoming GPUs, both in the form of leaks as well as some official information from NVIDIA themselves. And guys, it's looking really good. Now, the first bit of information comes from a Wired interview, which of course I'll have linked in the description below, where NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang surprisingly dropped some exciting information on their next generation GPUs when asked about lead times for some of their products. I don't know what the current lead time is, but this year is also the beginning of a new generation for us. The interviewer then asked, do you mean Blackwell, the rumored new GPU? To which Jensen responded with, quote, that's right, it's a new generation of GPUs coming out, and the performance of Blackwell is off the charts. It's going to be incredible. Now, of course, any CEO would say this about any of their products, regardless of what it was. However, this does actually line up with some information we've been getting from leakers as well. First, starting off with Red Gaming Tech, who actually posted bang this side when it comes to the Blackwell GPUs, and not only did he list the RTX 5090, but potentially a bunch of other GPUs as well, which I will be breaking down in a future video, so get subscribed for that. And like the video if you do love new GPU generations. But in any case, yeah, taking a look here, there's a lot of really exciting information. This is looking like it's going to be a huge jump. And also, I do want to mention that he talked about that apparently there's going to be major clock speed increases, a major architectural changes to the memory subsystem and the cache, presumably to lessen the bottleneck for these graphics cards. They continue to get faster and faster and feed those ray tracing cores probably a lot better as well. And then finally, apparently it is going to be consisting of 3nm process, which will be the most advanced process they can get for the high-end GPUs, and then the lower to mid-range GPUs will be on a somewhat less advanced 4nm node, so those will probably clock a little bit lower than the most powerful GPUs NVIDIA has, or maybe they'll just be less powerful, something like that. But in any case, that's not all, because not only does it line up with some statements from the well-known user Top817, but also there's a newly coming YouTube channel, Moore's Law Dead, and of course we have no way of validating the leaks, so take all of these leaks with a grain of salt, but according to a Hardware Times article, Moore's Law Dead allegedly that the RTX 5090 is likely to launch
by the end of this year, bringing 60 to 70% higher rasterization performance. And some quick math validates this to be true if the leak specs are correct. But moreover, most information is pointing towards RTX 50 Blackwell doubling down on RT, and here's exactly what it would look like if all these leak specs are put together in a chart. So taking a look here, you can see that I'm comparing these GPUs to the RTX 4090 as a baseline, as yeah, that's the fastest card we have right now, and just as
There's a team
bare
over by
minimum,
that.
I do believe we'll be seeing at least 10% IPC increases across the board. And so taking a look at the RTX 5090, you can see with 50% more streaming multiprocessors or CUDA cores and 11% higher clock speed, which is what the current leaks are pointing towards, at least roughly, well then we're talking about a GPU here which actually could have upwards of over 80% higher compute. But that's not all, because if we actually simplify this and also include ray tracing, well, first of all, the RTX 5090 is likely to give us somewhere around 60% higher gaming performance. But also if we consider that if they just make the bare minimum improvement, which I think they'll do, of 30% better ray tracing per core at 11% higher clock speeds and 50% more of them, that would actually put them at roughly 2 times the ray tracing performance of the RTX 4090. And guys, that is a huge deal, because it looks like developers are all in on ray tracing. It is happening whether we like it or not, and while it might not look the best in all games today, well, if we double our ray tracing performance, and we do that a number of times, not only is it going to start to run really well, but it's also going to start to look really good with a lot less noise and be actually covering all the shadows and reflections and everything without any compromises. And I do believe this will be the first generation of GPUs I can confidently tell you will be good ray tracing cards. Double the 4090's ray tracing capabilities is insane. That is enough to get some decent ray tracing in real time, at least in my opinion. Now, there could be an even faster card than the RTX 5090, and I do believe that NVIDIA's holding it back, but we're actually not going to get into that in today's video, so make sure you subscribe, and I'm sure I'll be talking about it at some point in the future. But for now, yeah, the RTX 50 series sounds like, at least according to the leaks, it could actually be launching first with the RTX 5090. At least this is what Morzog was saying, by the end of this year, and I've been hearing similar things. And then the 5080 and all those other cards below that will probably start to launch by the beginning of the next year. So there will be a little bit of a wait, but who knows, maybe the 5080 will be launching by the end of this year, as well as they do tend to like to launch the 2 top-end cards first when it comes to new generation. I think that's the question. Do you think that the RTX 50 series can really achieve 2 times the ray tracing performance, and 60% higher game performance overall than the RTX 40 series, or do you think those plans are just too lofty? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and NVIDIA release new GPUs. Also, if you want to see more, check out one of these related videos. You won't be disappointed.
Last week we have done this week we have the most excellent good news. Thanks for all the listeners through the ups and downs. The news is that physicists have reached a new record for building a quantum computer out of single atoms. They've now made it to more than 1,000 atoms, and they say their method can be scaled up quickly. Let's have a look. The story of quantum computing is a big drama. The major reason is that it's incredibly difficult to judge the promise of this new technology.
Are you in a safe spot?
Yep, I actually am. I don't know if you can get here, but yeah, if you can get here, you're safe to get me.
Google, IBM,
So I need to stay behind this rock where I'm at.
You
We gotta hurry.
on specific types of quantum bits, qubits for short. These qubits are the physical basis of the quantum computer, and the so far most widely used ones, which the big players have used, are superconducting circuits and ion channels. The new paper is about an entirely different approach to create qubits called atom-speed tweezers. The tweezers themselves are actually not made of atoms, they're made of light. They basically track atoms with lasers and then print them with more lasers. Yes, most of current physics is basically cooking things with lasers. Physicists
You could get over here, we could get under.
Atoms and tweezers have been catching on very quickly with the approaches pursued by Google and IBM. Why superconducting circuits and ion traps have a big starting advantage in being fairly easy to produce and operate, they're difficult to scale up. Scaling up quantum computers didn't just mean you like
Believe right here is in. This is still hidden.
Well, should I drop that or not? Sorry.
The nice thing about working with computers for atoms is that they're small and electrically neutral, so they don't influence each other so much. You can encode information.
Let me go. You stay there.
For example, by using spin states. This is quantum bits. But one of the biggest challenges of putting atoms into quasars has been to get sufficiently many of them into the same trap. In the new work, they solved this problem in a clever way by using a microvector. That's basically what the name says. The entire thing is less than a square millimeter. You shine with a laser on it, and that creates a regular array of dots. They use two of these arrays, shine two lasers on them, and then overlay them so that the second layer pushes the atoms into the transfer.
I did not see them down there. There's one on top of this. The other team is in the middle.
Just taking on the fluorescent light each dot is emitted with even tinier lenses on it. The entire thing is less than a square millimeter. You shine with the laser on it, and that creates a regular array of dots. They use two of these arrays, shine two lasers on them, and then overlay
Hoping
them
the other
so
team
that
pushes
the
up on them.
second layer pushes the atoms into the traps of the first. They call this supercharging. And look how lovely the atoms sit there in the array. Isn't this amazing? These are images taken under fluorescent light each dot is emitted. They managed to trap more than 1,000 atoms in this array with regular clusters exceeding 400. Now let me be clear that I didn't calculate.
Scrappy DP says, NT.
At least you got some points.
Yes, it's more latest. If they manage to calculate with these atoms, then in terms of quantum bits, that would be competitive with IBM's biggest chip, which just reached the 100 qubits threshold a few months ago. But wait, this isn't it with the good news. They say that with these microlens arrays, they can in principle scale the setting up to 100,000 atoms. This still falls short of the 1 million or so, where the first commercially relevant applications for quantum computing could begin, but that'd be getting really close. So yes, the hype around quantum computers is fake, with some people claiming that they'll bring a new industrial revolution and change the world. But the reason quantum computing news is such a roller coaster is that it isn't all hype. There's real promise there. First and most importantly, quantum computers don't rely on any speculative new theory. They're just normal quantum physics. But what's normal for quantum physics isn't normal for us, because quantum things have a very strong form of correlation. That's the entanglement. You can't do this on a conventional computer. And this entanglement is why a quantum computer can do some calculations faster than a conventional computer. Or rather, I should say, the calculations don't get slowed down that much on a quantum computer when problems become larger. You see, suppose you want to figure out how to optimize your financial assets. What to buy, what to sell. Well, the more stocks you take into account and the more details you want to be in your model, the more difficult the calculation gets and the longer it takes. This is the case both for conventional and quantum computing. But on the conventional computer, the computation slows down much more. So for big enough problems, the quantum computer
This might be a good place to land.
Eventually. And for banks, that means money, a lot of money. This is why the head of Bank of America said that quantum computing would be bigger than prior. It would be a computational advantage that converts right into money. But the issue is that this
Hold your breath.
where
If you have a respiratory system,
outperforms the conventional computer doesn't just depend on the fundamental laws of physics. It depends on how good your conventional computer is and how good its algorithm is. And on the other hand, it also depends on the algorithm of the quantum computer and how fast you can operate the quantum bits. Also depends on how good your press department is in claiming you've done something interesting. And this is why there's so much argument about whether is really the game changer it's been made out to be. Because artificial intelligence has much improved how quickly even conventional computers can solve some problems, and that's an increasingly large competition to quantum computers. Still, if a quantum computer is getting large enough, it would eventually outperform the conventional computer, because that's a question of the scaling law, and that's indeed due to fundamental physics. There's no doubt about it. No, you can't argue with the laws of nature. So today I'm super optimistic about the prospect of atoms and tweezers, but maybe next week I'll change my mind again, so don't forget to subscribe. I've tried a lot of science magazines, but most of them I found either too flaky or politicized or just not up to date. If you know what I mean, I recommend you check out Nautilus, which has become my favorite science magazine. Nautilus has both a digital and a print version, and it's just a pleasure to read. They really put a lot of effort into writing, and the graphic design is top. You notice immediately if you open the print version that it's a high-quality production. I've written several contributions for Nautilus myself, the most recent one about John Oppenheim's theory of post-quantum gravity. But I enjoy this magazine because it tells me what's going on in other scientific fields. What I particularly like about Nautilus is that they cover all areas, from astronomy to economics, history, neuroscience to philosophy and physics. They tell me what I need to know. You can join Nautilus as a digital-only member or get a print subscription. In addition to full access to all the stories in Nautilus, members receive benefits like priority access to events, exclusive products and product discounts, and, of course, we have a special offer for our viewers. If you use our custom link, joinnautilus.com/Sabine, you get 15% off your membership subscription, so go and check this out. Thanks for watching, see you tomorrow.
I need an extended heavy mag.
Care package being delivered.
Incoming care package.
What is up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a bit of a rant and a kind of a debate out there from two of your biggest YouTubers and streamers in the space, that being Jinxie and Moist Critical, who is actually on Jinxie's most recently established
I need to stand up and talk.
This can be sexy. As you can see, I'm not in my normal spot, and that's because I'm still going to be pushing the price significantly further. As you can see down here, it says similarly to the past KS releases, the new SKU is expected to be 18 to 25% more expensive. According to iLeakVN, the price in Vietnam is around $765, which is 30% more expensive. Now, this is obviously more of an early kind of release number, likely, at least from what it sounds like here, so I wouldn't really take this as the final pricing, but at the same time, with it being right around what we've seen before, I wouldn't be too surprised. Basically, with the 14,900 KS, Intel is essentially giving you less for more, or even if it's around the same price increase that we've seen before, it'd still be giving you less for the same price. Either way, definitely not something I'd suggest anyone buy. And next up for today, if you follow the channel, and of course, if you don't, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date on all the new PC hardware releases. Either way, if you have been following the channel, you know that I've been discussing this new upcoming release from Microsoft called DirectSR. Now, originally, we were sort of thinking that this was similar to this right here that we've seen, AutoSR, that effectively made us think that Microsoft was adding capabilities for super resolution at the click of a button. Now, they may still actually be doing that, but at least according to this, that's not what DirectSR is. This right here is a post by Microsoft themselves, where they quickly sort of go over what to expect with DirectSR, and this is likely because everyone was getting excited and thinking that it was something like this, but unfortunately it isn't, but it is still good news. As you can see right down here, it says this API enables multi-vendor SR through a common set of inputs and outputs, allowing a single code path to activate a variety of solutions, including NVIDIA DLSS Super Resolution, AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution, and Intel XeSS. DirectSR will be available soon, and the Agility SDK is a public preview. basically, what all of this means is that this isn't actually some kind of new super resolution. Instead, it's basically an API that allows game developers to write code for all of the different super resolutions sort of at once. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but at least from what we're hearing, that's basically what Microsoft is wanting to do. They're wanting to make it easier for developers to write code for all of these different super resolution technologies, rather than having to write a ton of code for each one. They can sort of
El
just
No
write it in
Palon
the
says,
API,
one
at
hit.
least from what it sounds like, it'll make it work with all of them. And while it isn't a new super
Let me get him.
news, because it should mean the developers have an easier time to add all the different super resolutions to their game. Therefore, it should come to more games, and in the games where they have one, it should be much easier to go ahead and include the rest. So it's sounding like to me. And next up, I actually have some for those who don't know, HDMI primarily is a regular tech. Actually, it's really overseen by sort of this conglomerate of tech companies that oversee it all, called the HDMI Forum. And basically what they do is they come together and determine what the next HDMI is, as well as what can support it. And one of the main issues is that HDMI is not open source. Because of that, it's really hard to add to things like Linux. Fortunately, AMD has been trying to support them for the last 2 years to bring HDMI 2.1, the 4K 120 Hz is basically required if you want to use HDMI. You need HDMI 2.1. Well, the consortium
Is that a second gene?
updates that AMD has been working on to bring it to Linux. As you can see right here, this is from an AMD engineer. It says, quote, the HDMI forum has rejected our proposal. Unfortunately, at this time, an open source HDMI 2.1 implementation is not possible without running afoul of the HDMI forum requirements. Basically, AMD tried and unfortunately failed. Now, of course, thank you, AMD, for at least getting the attempt, but for now, if you want, these higher refresh rates at 4K, things like that, you're gonna have to stick to this basically. And lastly for today, we have a very interesting new update from Red Gaming Tech on AMD's upcoming RDNA 4 GPUs. As you can see right here, so far he has two Navi GPUs upcoming, Navi 48 and Navi 44. Now, what's wild is that the higher end one is actually Navi 48. Typically, the lower the number, the higher in the GPU. But, at least according to this, Navi 48 is the higher end GPU, while Navi 44 is the lower end one. And starting off with specs, we have Navi 48, according to him, gets 32 workgroup processors. So those are your cores right there, 64 megabytes of Infinity Cache, and a 256-bit GDDR6 bus. Now, that GDDR6 and the 256-bit is one of the differences that we're seeing from what he originally heard to what he's hearing now, and that easily could just be that AMD has ultimately changed their minds. Before, we were looking at a shorter memory bus at 192-bit, but GDDR7. Now it's looking like they're going on at GDDR6. Next, we have Navi 44. This one has 16 workgroup processors, 32 megabytes of the cache, 128-bit GDDR6. Once again, that's a change from 96-bit GDDR7, so a little bit shorter of a bus, so we're going a little bit wider, but now we're moving from GDDR7 to GDDR6. And the news doesn't stop there. He also actually has some performance numbers. Starting things off with N48, you can see that according to him, it's going to be a little slower than the RX 7900 XT. But don't forget that at least according to everything we've heard, the RX 8000 series is set to be more of a mid-range series of GPUs. That is unfortunate. They aren't going to be trying to tackle the high end of things, but don't forget that them doing that actually gave us the RX 480 a while back, so this may not be all bad news, and it being slightly slower than the RX 7900 XT could end up being a great thing depending on its price. If AMD is able to get anywhere near, say, the 7800 XT, 7700 XT in price, but right around the 7900 XT's performance, that could end up still being a huge win. Finally, we have the N44, which, according to this, is between an RX 7600 and 7700 XT's performance. So, once again, nothing to write home about, but we still could be looking at a really big winner. So while that does it for today, are you still excited for AMD's next-gen RX 6000, or are you looking more towards NVIDIA simply because AMD, at least according to rumors, may not be releasing new GPUs on the high end? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And as always, have a great day.
The press has been digging into the past of the House's new Speaker, Mike Johnson, who, of course, is a far-right conservative. And the latest revelations from this investigative reporting really has to do with his Christian faith and something that he attended when his daughter was 13 years old. This is back in 2015 when he attended a so-called purity ball with his 13-year-old daughter, Hannah. And what these purity balls are really about is having your daughter engage in a vow to live a life of celibacy until marriage. Now, the vast majority of girls who take this purity pledge then go on to lose their virginity before marriage because they are human beings, and most people don't get married at 16. But nonetheless, let's give you the details. This looks like a wedding, a news reporter says, in German in a 2015 NTV news segment that was unearthed by ABC News. But they are not bride and groom, but rather father and daughter.
She had been neglected by her previous owner, who took her in a cage. Since she was domesticated, she couldn't be released into the wild, so we adopted her to give her a better life. They likes to think she's a good work from home partner, but I believe it's what she wants. My attention.
I look forward to meeting you all, real close and personal.
Shoes that I'm wearing. She works her way up your shoulder. It's your.
I am the jump master. Have faith in our descent.
She'll steal my shirts. Some days she's very sweet, but she definitely has more nowadays.
Better lies below.
That's for her, but she's definitely.
Chucking a thermite. Shooting a thermite. Don't get shooting at me. Fire me knuckle cluster. Watch a thermite. Down. Fairly good shot though. I cracked an unscottish shield. Not a hostile unscotty. Enemy here. Right here.
I'm down.
Taking fire. Broken enemy shield.
Oh, that wasn't your life flashing before your eyes. That was me.
Bloody Joker over there.
No. This is a plant. Plants. This called. Plant. What's the plant made of?
I leveled up.
What's this called?
What upgrade should I pick?
What's this called? Wario. No, what's this called? Wario. No. This is Wario.
Wario.
What's the plant made of? No.
Metal.
It's a plant. What's the plant made of? What's this called? That's close. Can you say it better? What's this called? Plant. What's this called?
It's a plant.
This might just be the future of thermal paste technology. You see, thermal paste is used in between our CPU and CPU cooler to help remove as much heat from the system as possible. And you know what's really good at transferring heat? Metal. In fact, liquid metal has like 10 times the thermal conductivity that silicon-based normal thermal paste would. And that liquid metal so much as even touches any other part of the board, well, simply what? You're screwed. At that point, you're
Go on, try to stop me.
That's because metal also conducts electricity, whereas the silicon-based thermal paste doesn't. Making it super safe. So it's thermal paste, but the safety of silicon-based thermal paste. Well, the answer might just be right here with this phase change metal alloy thermal paste. At room temperature, it's solid. as it heats up, as you can see here, it begins to liquefy. But because it's also surrounded by this plastic enclosure, the liquid metal isn't going anywhere except for right on the CPU. It's helps you mitigate the dangers of using a thermal paste while capturing.
Walk it off, mate.
Super high thermal conductivity. This might just be the
No. No.
Let's go. Allons-y.
The reporter adds, referring to Johnson and his then 13-year-old daughter, Hannah. Now, this was a segment that was done years ago, again, 2015, and I should note that it's since been deleted, but it was deleted after ABC News found it.
I'm already gone. Don't worry about it.
I think it's weird that ABC News is doing investigative reporting on this, but they did, and I guess they thought that this would be interesting enough to the public to share details about it. Now, the German news segment also documented Johnson and his family preparing for and then attending the Purity Ball. These were controversial former dance events, popular among some conservative Christians, and it did gain notoriety in the early aughts, in the early 2000s. And so we have some still frames from the original recording that was later taken down. There you see Johnson having his daughter take the purity pledge. He's putting a corsage on her wrist. Linda K. Klein, who's author of the book Pure, Inside the Evangelical Movement That Shamed a Generation of Young Women and How I Broke Free. Well, she went on News Nation to explain purity balls and what actually goes on at these events. Let's take a look.
A purity ball is really something that you've got a group of, oftentimes very traditional purity ball. You've got a group of young children, girls around the age of 12, 13, along there. They're in gowns that are not just ball gowns, but white ball gowns, wedding gowns in many ways. And their fathers, and together their fathers are in suits or tuxedos, and they have a dance, and they have a at the end with this sort of placing of the purity ring often on the finger, the girl's ring finger, as a promise to her father and also to her father in heaven that she will not defile her sexual purity before marriage, not have sex, but defile her sexual purity in any way. And then eventually the idea is that this ring stays on her finger until it is replaced by her wedding ring by her husband, which essentially symbolizes the transfer of ownership over her sexuality from her father to her husband.
So a few more details about Johnson and his daughter. So the news segment, the German news segment, featured interviews with Johnson's daughter, who, by the way, now is 20 years old, and shows her at the purity ball pledging to her father to make a commitment to God, myself, my family, my friends, my future husband, and my future children to a lifetime of purity, including sexual purity. In between Johnson nodding along the agreement, his wife Kelly Johnson, a Christian counselor, also told the German news outlet, quote, "We don't talk to her about sex before marriage is simply out of the question." So, Jane, you and I, again, used to cover this type of story a lot back in the day. I was a lot more judgmental and mocking of it.
I just get out there.
I don't agree with this. I think that what tends to happen is it's very likely that the people who engage in this kind of purity ball then go on to lose their virginity before marriage. And there's an element of self-hatred that arises from that because everyone in their community has told them, the women in this case, that really, like, one of the most important things is that they don't engage in any sexual activity until they're married. I also don't agree with saving yourself for marriage. I think that it might work for some people, but
we should check that out.
I like to look at a home before I consider buying it. I like to test drive a car before I consider taking out, a loan for it. Like, this is your entire life. When you get married, it's not a joke. You literally share your life with someone. And if there's no chemistry when it comes to intimacy, that could end up being a real problem.
Oh, yeah. So, lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
I'm mixed on this story, too. So, first of all, look, I'm basically from a different culture, and that's the American secular culture, as opposed to the fundamentalist culture that Mike Johnson and his daughter. So when I look at it, it looks super weird to me. First of all, you're having a giant ball over not having sex. So So like the whole point of it, so it feels like when the whole line about don't think about a pink elephant. What's the first thing that pops into your head? Pink elephant, right? So they do this giant thing where they're like, now don't have sex. Okay, so it's probably going to be counterproductive at some point, knowing human psychology. And in fact, we do know one thing about these.
Get out, Creepmaster.
Among the attendees of these balls, once they
slide on down.
Sex, the rate of teenage pregnancy is much higher.
If anything, you might as well bring Lifeline back.
Okay, that's
at least some type of
what happens.
Yeah, he right.
In these
do that.
Situations. And
bring me back.
And to me, the striking part was what the guest there on News Nation explained at the very end.
I'm coming
home for ownership. And and I get it. The dad owns your sexuality, and now the husband owns it. Those are the only two people who should ever own. So I can't begin to describe how much I disagree with that. Go live your life. Go live your life. Have fun. These stupid old rules. I mean, I got married at 38. If you didn't have sex till you're 38, I feel for you. Brothers and sisters. Look, I'm not making fun. I feel terrible for you. But you made a terrible mistake. Okay, go live life. Now, having said all of that, at the same time, I understand that it is a different culture. And they grew up in that culture. They grew up in that context. And we look weird to them. They're like, oh, these guys, they don't even mind sex at 29 before they got married. Crazy, right? And so, to them, a giant cross in the middle of a ball and dancing with your 13-year-old, all that in the ring, etc., that all looks like perfectly normal. And so we've got to be cognizant of one another. And if you're a religious person, even if you're not a religious person, and you say, hey, I don't want my daughter or my son having sex until they're 18 or out of the house or they're adults. Yeah, we get it. We get it. That's not a crazy thing to think, right? So that's like, as strange as it looks, I understand that it's a different culture and that we have to all live in the same country and be mindful and respectful of one another.
That fucking jump and that jump pad.
Yeah, but like the idea of the ownership thing though bugs me to no end. So to me, until 18 makes perfectly good sense. You're still trying to control your daughter when she's a grown up and trying to tackle her from having fun. I think that's nuts.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, according to a report from The Atlantic back in 2016, they allege that only 3% of Americans wait until marriage to have sex. And remember, Americans are getting married when they're much older these days, right? Usually in their late 20s, early 30s. And so it makes sense to me that there's a growing percentage of Americans, nearly all at this point, that end up engaging in intimacy before marriage. Now, with that said...
Sorry, let me jump in there real quick. Because we just did a story like last week or so where Kellyanne Conway did some polling, or the organization she was with, and they were rushing out to D.C. to tell Republicans, hey, stop trying to make contraception illegal. It turns out conservative women use it too. To which we said, of course 99% of women who are of birth-giving age use contraception at some point. And now this fact, which I didn't know, 97% of people have sex before marriage. Conservatives. Look, I'm trying to respect your culture, and I'm telling everybody it's different, and don't get freaked out by it, and let everybody live their own lives. But at the same time, you guys got to realize you lost. It's not... the old ways of, oh, we keep everyone in a cave and they're perfectly pure, and then we take that nice piece of property, I mean my daughter, and then we give it to the person who bought the property, I mean their husband. Those days are gone, brothers and sisters. And no matter how hard you try to hold on to it, it's not going to happen. Adjust to the new reality. It doesn't mean you lose track of what you consider to be your morals. You have to do it in a different way. Oh my God.
So back in 2009, Janky, similar pledge. It has to do with a celebrity, Kevin Jonas, who had just gotten engaged. And so, honestly, I haven't seen this. This is from 2009, so guys, don't be mad at us if we said anything embarrassing and wouldn't be considered acceptable today. But let's see what we said about them deciding to save themselves for marriage. Kevin Jonas just got engaged to be married.
I think that's huge news.
It is huge news. He proposed to his 22-year-old girlfriend of 2 years.
And he's 21 years old himself.
And she's a hairstylist.
Okay, disastrous.
You know he's a virgin. No, that's what the Jonas Brothers are all about. They wear purity rings and they talk about virginity all the time.
But overall, man, Kevin Jonas did the rest of mankind damage here. He did us wrong. Because we all want to be in your situation, and in your situation, to throw away all that tang, to get married at 21, because you're the biggest blue balls in history because your mom wouldn't let you have sex, and you're a virgin or whatever. Oh, man, you blew it. Of the young jank, I denounce and reject them. Okay. All right / mainstream media have
Dude, like, get off our balls, okay? Get off our balls. Things change.
Get off our purity balls.
By the way, you were wrong, Jank, because they're still together, still happily married, so.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Good for them. And you see this?
Yeah, for sure.
This is me moderating throughout my life as I've lived more and interacted with people more and etc. So I'm super happy that it worked out for them.
Hey guys, welcome to the TV show where we get to discuss our current favorite
I'm
show.
Jump
That's
Master.
not really
You'll
our
never see
TV.
the end of the road when you're traveling with me.
They done put Avatar on TV.
And you must master the Avatar state. It can be so wonderful.
Or I guess it's technically streaming. But they gave it a TV level budget. This library of visual information and language that we would then use to inform the physical and the digital builds of all the creatures. Apparently, every episode of the new Avatar Netflix show costs $15 million to produce.
Off screen, he is half back on a mechanical pole controlled by people to make him seem like he's moving.
Which gives it a season budget of $120 million. That's ridiculous. It's fun getting to see the world of the Avatar come to life. It's starting to become ridiculously crazy to me that everything I liked when I was younger is now popular again, if not even more popular than it was back then. It's like everything that we were looking at on Toonami and Nickelodeon in the early 2000s is now getting these huge budgets, as well as the One Piece show.
Stop Cronus.
Do you mind if I start again? Which has one of the highest, if not the highest, television budgets ever. Aichiro Oda is counting his money, He was like, y'all doubted me. Y'all doubted me.
Flatline here.
It's clear that Netflix knows that the Stranger Things kids are aging out, and the Avatar has enough of an original fan base that will watch it because they feel like they have to, and they feel as if they can make subtle changes to make it more viewable for adult audiences. I think one of the greatest things about this debate that's come out is that animation is a worthwhile medium no matter what it is. Sometimes the thing you created is so great that it doesn't really need to be replicated. I'm happy that they're trying to, though. The thing is about Avatar fans is I think we have one of the most... Oh, wait, I got... The thing about Avatar is that we have one of the most toxic fan bases. If you follow any of the Avatar meme pages or see any Avatar posts, there's often a whole bunch of people under those posts just who feel deeply connected to the series. Like, we get it. When you were younger and you were watching this on television, you felt a personal and borderline, if not actually spiritual connection to this show.
In order to master the Avatar state, You must open all the chakras. And tell me everything you know about chakras.
What are chakras?
At the time, it wasn't looked at as cool to like anime as it is now. Avatar helped you feel as a kid like you were original, like you had something great that you knew about.
These fools are like our chakras.
So chakras are pools of spiraling energy in our bodies?
Exactly.
I detect enemy sounds
And
that way.
I think that's great, but you shouldn't gatekeep it and try to stop other people from liking it too. You are still a great person. You are still original for liking something when it originally came out. Now you have to level up.
Looks like some
And
people
be,
have been there.
an OG.
Here's your
I know that's
birthday
new.
present.
I know a lot of nerdy people don't look at themselves as being able to level up. But now you have to level up in your fandom and be an OG fan. It's okay for people who didn't get bullied for liking cartoons and anime like it now. That's fine. It doesn't take away from your originality.
The creed can't flow?
Yes, but if we open the paths between fools,
The energy flows.
Obviously, I have a really interesting connection with the show because we used to do a review show on SourceFed Nerd about Avatar: The Legend of Korra. TV show
It
show
looks
guy,
like
all
enemy
about
spotted.
Legend of Korra. I had a great time.
Yeah.
You guys have
Sweet
fun?
thing.
I had a good time. I don't remember anything Jeff said. I don't remember either, but it was fun. And just like many other fans, I've been a fan of Avatar since they showed the original commercial on
Hostile
Nick.
over there.
Extended heavy
That was
mag
calling
here.
Katara
Level
like Kaya.
Right. He has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone.
For something which they made the mother's name. I remember seeing the first commercial airing
Who's
for it,
ready to fly
and
on a
me and
zip
my
line?
sister were so
I
hyped.
am.
We're like, this is gonna be cool. And it was. I was gripping this show every single week that it came out.
Hostile over there.
Like, we get it. When
Fire.
Guru taught
Cracked an
Teach,
enemy
taught Aang that all he needed to do was meditate on what attaches him to this world and let it go, let it flow down the river. You felt that.
think of your attachments and let them go. Let the pure body.
Taking fire.
I felt it too. That personally is my connection with spirituality as well.
Just giving my shields a recharge.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Well, you gotta realize what these people are saying is that at the beginning, it's tough because a lot of people don't want to look at life this way, but the more you are attached to things, when you lose them, you will lose them. So Angel's like, I gotta kill my girlfriend. I mean, not my girlfriend, the girl I like. Yep.
They bubble shielded and they're healing up inside. We're
So
fucked.
why does one of the creators, Brian Conexo, pronounce anime like this?
Avatar is an homage, it was a Japanese anime, but we were always conscious that we weren't trying to pass it off as a counterfeit.
Anime? It's anime, bro!
Shit. That's like, that's actually the most insane effort. You don't have to do this. I know you can. You don't have to do a single thing. You're good. Hop up the machine. You better hop up that machine right now. You're good. Where's it hurt? Fucking hurt it. You're actually nuts, dude. Do you want to sit for a sec? And just be proud of yourself? You overcame like the hardest day. Keep moving. You're awesome. You're actually... You're not pussy at all, dude.
This can be sexy. Oh, there's an MP.
Goop. Get rid of that. I'll be done today.